previously in the chase.
As far as I'm concerned, it all starts right here today.
You're the best, man. You're the best. This is yours right here. Hey, stars going. Let's get ready. Green, green, green. Everybody's rolling. Everybody's rolling.
They are in trouble. Big me here now. I'm smoking them right now.
I'm having a problem. Nah, it's
Tony Stewart's crew is going to go to work. They're going to stay in here and get it right.
If Dave wildcard those out against me, I'm going to wreck his ass. Mark, you are the best, baby. You are unbelievable. I'm speechless. I can't talk right now, boys. Thank you, guys. I love you.
12 drivers, 10 races, 1 champion. Momentum, racing's double-edged sword. It'll carry you to victory or throw you into the wall. A KG veteran has harnessed this legendary force and ridden it to the outright lead. But momentum, it's a fickle friend at best. Others in pursuit have made this hard-earned acquaintance. Now, they must gain favor along the Monster Mile, a concrete beast as unforgiving as gravity itself. And yet, they come for that rare chance to run between momentum and the monster.
Momentum and the Monster. An interesting pairing. One of NASCAR's most demanding and difficult tracks, challenging drivers in chase race number 2 at a time when their championship hopes are still very high.
You never seen, get me tapped in, get me tapped in, 16, 16.
Greg Biffle's team feeling it today. Their driver, the defending winner of this race, Biffle, starting this race on the outside of row number 2, looking to boost his hopes in this championship. Like all the drivers, a good day today can set them on a path towards the title, but a bad day at the hands of the Monster could become the defining moment that separates a driver and his team from their dream of hoisting the Sprint Cup at Homestead, Miami in mid-November. To get the second race in the chase for the Sprint Cup started, let's go trackside and get the command to fire them up.
Ladies and gentlemen, with today's command from the 56th Stryker Brigade of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, Sergeant Major John Jones. Drivers, start your engines.
Bring them up, gang. Bring them up. All right, bud. Fired up. All right, bud. Wheel lock, your belts tight.
You got me on that first one?
Test for 2, Steve, you got me?
How about this one?
Got you me here.
All right, Curtis, he's on the air.
How about you?
Yeah, I got you, Larry. Okay.
That's cool.
Somehow I have a feeling the Grand Marshal's used to people responding to his commands like the drivers just did. All right, it's time to go upstairs to the 3 men who spent a lot of time in Victory Lane here at the Monster Mile. One holding a helmet, one holding a wrench, and one holding a microphone. Dale Jarrett, Andy Petrie, and Dr. Jerry Punch, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Alan, and hello, everyone. Glad to have you with us today here in Dover, Delaware. Folks, last week in round 1 of the chase in New Hampshire, several of these chase drivers came out swinging in terms of their aggressiveness on the racetrack, and they ruffled some feathers. Case in point, Juan Pablo Montoya had a fast car and wasn't afraid to use it. Guys, what impact could that have on how he's treated to the next 9 races by the other competitors?
Well, this is going to be his style. I mean, this is the way he races. He was very aggressive in New Hampshire, and he can get away with that with a fast car like he had last week. And I think he's going to have one today. He can get away with that kind of driving. But if he can't drive away from the scene of some of that contact by having a fast car, it can get him in big trouble fast here.
Yeah, and I think most drivers will tell you that they're going to race their competitors the way that they race them. So what does that mean? We'll have to watch and see as this chase goes on. But I think also most of them will tell you that when we got into the chase, they expected the business to kind of ramp up a little bit. The competition is a little bit tougher. Guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive, and I think they're pretty much okay with that.
If you'd been one of the veterans and he ruffled a little bit, how would you have responded?
Just as I said, I raced drivers the way that they raced me. So if you were going to dish that out, you had to be able to take it too.
Everyone talks about Talladega maybe being the wild card race here in the chase because of the big one, the multi-car crashes, but there are a lot of drivers drivers now buckled in to these cars who are concerned about what's going to happen today because of this.
Well, coming out of these corners, and this is out of turn 2 right here, you have nowhere to go if something should happen in front of you, and then everything just bottles up. So that's what these drivers are concerned about, are the things that they really can't control, something happening right in front of them, funneling right down and collecting them as a part of it.
Well, one of the things about this racetrack that makes it a little different than, say, Talladega is you can control your destiny somewhat. You can race your way to the front, and you can keep your car up front by having good pit stops and keeping track position. That'll keep you out of a lot of these wrecks that can happen in front of you. So that's why I look at this track just a little different as a wild card. It can still bottle you up in a heartbeat, but it is not as big a wild card as some.
There was not a big one last week in New Hampshire, but there was a big swing in the point standings. In fact, 10 of the 12 positions changed. Mark Martin still atop the standings. Take a look. Juan Pablo Montoya gaining 7 positions. A big loser was Casey Kane. And look down there in 6th position. Tony Stewart lost 4 spots because he finished in 14th position, went from 2nd to 6th. Tony Stewart is our in-race reporter today, and it has been over a month since he's had a top 5 or top 10 finish, but he doesn't seem to be very worried. So let's visit with Smoke, the driver of the Burger King Chevrolet.
Hey, Tony, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Yeah, bud.
Hey, Tony, we've kind of documented that most of the U-Chase drivers have very good records at this racetrack. And our first question comes from our mailbag. Jim in Portsmouth, New Hampshire is asking, starting in the middle of the pack with 10 chasers in front of you, how do you work your way to the front?
You just got to be what I always love to use is cautiously aggressive. You got to know that you got 400 miles here and 400 laps to get there, but you can't screw around too long today. But you got to pick your spots and not take chances doing it. So you got to pick your spots wisely. Hopefully, I'm a smart enough guy to be able to get this Burger King car up front today.
Well, I think you are. And Tony, these last few weeks haven't been your team's best performances of the year for different reasons, obviously. How have you addressed these situations as a driver and as an owner?
Well, you just got to know that, whatever it is that we're fighting here, nothing's going to fix it but just working hard. And I'm proud of my guys, all the guys on this team and Ryan's team here that I'm going by right now. We've all worked hard, and it's like you said, it's not been the best of situations, but we got a group of guys that are very determined, and this team doesn't have any quit in them, and that's probably the biggest key to it, is being able to say, okay, we've had bad weeks, how are we going to overcome it? So Darian Gribb's done a great job with Bobby Hutchins and with the help of Tony Gibson and Ryan Newman of helping us stay focused and keep our eye on the prize at the end of the day.
All right, Tony, thanks for talking with us. Have a great day, man. And now Andy's going to talk to Darian Gribb.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Darian, Andy Petrie in the booth. You got us?
Oh, sir, I got you.
Hey, Darian, we've heard a lot of talk about this new tire Goodyear brought here this weekend. How much of a curveball has it thrown you and your team?
Definitely changed things quite a bit. It's got a different dynamic. Dover is a unique track the way you drop off into the hole and kind of jump down into the corner, but then you carry a sustained load all the way through. So it's definitely a different tire from what we're used to here, but we've made some changes today based on our happy hour, and hopefully we're going to be able to hit a few things and be able to drive towards the front.
Okay, Darian. Well, thanks for talking to us, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Aside from Tony Stewart, we'll have cameras inside 7 other cars today. Casey Kane trying to bounce back from that 38th place finish last week. Greg Biffle, last year's winner. You heard Alan Bestwick say. Kyle Busch trying to get a 5th win on the season. There's the 4-time champ, Jeff Gordon, a 4-time Dover winner. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting about where he started a week ago. But, folks, last week, remember, he drove all the way toward the front, only to come up short here in the final laps with an accident on the racetrack. Our overall crewman today is the front tire changer for Robbie Gordon, Mark Hollywood Armstrong. And Hollywood, the pits at Dover are really, really tight.
Doc, they are. Over the past few weeks, there's been a number of pit crew members injured on pit road, and Dover is certainly one of those. Not only do you have to pay attention to your environments and all the other stuff that's going on during a pit stop, but we also got to pay attention to what the crew chief's got going on today with the weather. And you got to have a lot of adjustments in these race cars. And for that, we'll go to Dave.
Well, Hollywood, in our countdown show, Rusty Wallace showed everyone how the rains last night washed off of the Goodyear rubber that had been worked into the pores and grooves of this racetrack. The adjustments that the crews are going to have to make to start out with, like crew chief Shane Wilson here for Clint Boyer, is actually nothing. They're going to have to wait because they've all told me that over time, this track is going to take the Goodyear rubber right back in, and this track is going to be the same way it was when they practiced on Saturday. So the adjustments you made to your car yesterday, the condition you left it in, the part you liked, you can keep for today. But your biggest adjustment at the start is to wait. Vince?
Well, Dave, if you don't wait and these chase drivers become a little bit too aggressive with the monster, it can be costly. If you don't keep your nose clean out on the racetrack, that's going to put the pressure on the guys in pit lane to take care of the damage quickly, assess it thoroughly, make sure you get it fixed in an efficient manner, because every spot that you save on pit lane is one spot your driver doesn't have to get on the racetrack. And in this situation, every position is important. Positions translate to points, and every point, Doc, matters in the chase.
You're exactly right, guys. Every single point is very important. And the grid across the top of your screen, you heard that Jimmie Johnson on the pole for the second time this year and the second time at Dover, Delaware.
Well, boys, just like what we spoke about, it's all about desire. You got to have the want to get this thing done here this year. You guys got to want it.
Jimmie Johnson weaving back and forth, making sure those tires are nice and clear. Check out our Coors Light cold hard facts. 7 of the 12 chase drivers have won here at Dover, including Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Mark Martin. All 5 Dover chase races have been won by a chaser. And folks, here's the kicker. The Dover winners here in the fall have never gone on to win the championship in the same year. This broadcast is available in Spanish by activating your SAP button presented by ESPN Deportes. In the spring here, folks, there were a record-tying 25 lead changes among 11 different drivers. There have been 7 different winners over the last 7 races here at Dover. We welcome you to race number 2 in the 2006 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. 43 drivers thinking about victory. 12 of those have visions of a championship. Glad to have you with us. Good crowd on hand as they come out of turn 4 for the green flag here at Dover, Delaware. Jimmie Johnson pulling away to about a 4-car length lead. He will get the 5 bonus points for leading lap 1. These drivers are also aware there will be a competition caution at lap 25 because of all the rain washing the rubber off the racetrack.
You see most of these drivers are tiptoeing around here, giving each other room. You saw all the dust on the backstretch the first time by. It's going to take a few laps to get the track cleaned off and get these cars kind of settled in.
Yeah, I'd expect them to be a little more cautious, knowing in 25 laps you shouldn't get lapped. Just see what your race car has here at the beginning and see how we can work on it at the beginning as this rubber track starts to get rubber back on it.
There's Brian Vickers trying to gain a position, and they almost go 3 wide as the rookie Logano was thinking about going to the bottom of the racetrack on it.
Yeah, Joey Logano had a great car in practice in happy hour yesterday, so expect him to be good. A little pressure there on the 83.
Mark Martin, he went 3 wide. He's not holding back at all. There's the 44 car of A.J. Allmendinger. Martin in the middle of the group there. There's the 29 car of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Mark looks like he's actually struggling a little bit, and he's been caught kind of on the top side of the racetrack, and that is not at all where Mark wants to be. You can see that car really wiggle as he got down into turn 3.
The 11 and 2 car, Hamlin and Kurt Busch battling for 11th position, and Kurt Busch will take it. We just joined our coverage and didn't hear NASCAR Countdown. There's a new tire that Goodyear brought. They tested it up here back in August, and the drivers were raving about how good this tire was and how much it gripped the racetrack. But now with no rubber on the track, everything they learned yesterday is going to have to wait a while.
Well, we'll have to wait too long because the tire that Goodyear brought here is a tire concept that they learned at Indy to put rubber into the racetrack, and it does that pretty quickly. I think we'll see the track rubber up and get black pretty quick and get back to kind of the way it was yesterday. We heard Dave Burns say that. had in the pre-race there right before we got going. That's what they expect to see here.
Yeah, and with all 43 cars out there running and running, then we're going to be able to see that happen quickly.
Well, Sam Hornish in the back of the 44, and nice job by A.J. Allmendinger to hold on. A good battle here. These guys 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. David Gilliland in that 71 car in 14th position.
Yeah, just looking at the lap times early on, the track's got a lot of grip. I mean, these times are not very far off. As a matter of fact, they're pretty quick compared to yesterday's practice times.
Tony Stewart going by there in the 14 car. Behind him, the 17 of Matt Kenseth. Up front, Jimmy Johnson is our leader. From the pole, he has led the first 7 laps thus far. Now, back in May, it was Johnson who dominated the day, leading 298 laps on his way to victory lane. Want a chance to win $10,000? Put your NASCAR knowledge to the test with the ESPN Pick 12 Challenge. Go to ESPN.com/Pick12. Guess the order the 12 chase drivers will finish next week at Kansas. Today's winner, who picked last week's New Hampshire race, is Walter T. Now, we'll announce the Dover winner in the first 30 laps of Kansas, so make sure you watch. Some of these drivers are struggling here in these first 15 laps or so because the track is vastly different. One guy isn't struggling. You see Jimmy Johnson moving away. And here's the 2 car continuing to move up a little bit there of Kurt Busch.
I think most of the drivers that I spoke with thought that the racetrack would be looser to start this race. It actually grips more without all of that rubber on there, and so that makes the front tires grip a little bit better, and in turn the back end can't quite keep up.
There's the 99 car of Carl Edwards, who qualified back in 30th position. Now, right behind him is the 33 car that was scheduled to start 8th, Clint Boyer, but they made an engine change and had to go to the rear of the field. These two now together are working their way up, and now right now Carl being shown in 28th position.
Clint Boyer was really good in practice yesterday. He won the nationwide race yesterday, but his Cup car was really good in both the practice sessions.
37 cars headed to the garage area. Tony Raines, the first car out of this one today. Last year's winner, Greg Biffle, been 35 races since he's gone to victory lane, and that was right here at Dover, Delaware last fall. And the 9 car closing in. Vince.
Well, if there's a driver that needs to have a good day today, it's Casey Kane after finishing 38th last week with a crankshaft issue. They've gone to the previous generation engine, the R5, for this race. Casey was very confident on it. They've got a lot more R&D and a lot more research and information on that motor than they did on the one they ran the week before. Casey very fast in the final practice and told me just before he got in the car, I'm confident we've got a car capable of winning today. Dave?
And Vince, if he can get around the 16, he's going to be getting around a guy who's done very well here at Dover recently. Crew Chief Greg Irwin told me this morning that they counted on that, and as Casey Kane goes underneath, Biffle will lose a position, but Biffle's done so well here, they came with a very different race car, but counted on their pass. They had to work with new tires, but they feel that they're just as strong as they've been in past races here with Biffle's win.
They certainly had this race circled on their calendar for a number of weeks there. Right side of your screen, battle for 4th. Now Casey Kane has taken it away left side. This 2 car of Kurt Busch is on the move.
He's on a steady march to the front. See his car working extremely well. Shannon?
Kurt Busch saying the car is just a little bit loose right now out there. Now, they did not make any changes to that car this morning. Pat Tyson told me they were a little bit snug at the end of happy hour and thought they would go on into the race like that, but right now a little bit loose. The biggest thing that they dealt with all weekend long was just a little bit of speed and staying consistent. They were really good, as you see Mark Martin go underneath A.J. Allmendinger there. They were really good at the end of the run, but they wanted more consistency throughout the run. So that was the number one thing that the 2 car worked on. And guys, he is flying right now.
Thank you, Shannon. You see Mark Martin left side of your screen. You made the comment a moment ago that he had made the pass to move back into 16th position after dropping 4 spots. He is about a half a lap behind the leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, one thing I'm seeing right here, the racetrack is getting a lot darker, a lot blacker, and as it's doing that, Mark Martin's car is getting better and better. We saw him lose a lot of spots when the track was very white and dirty. Now he's starting to go back the other way, which means he's got his car set for the long run here.
Indeed, yeah. You can see right there, it's exactly a half a lap between this guy, Jimmy Johnson, and the points leader, his teammate, Mark Martin. Johnson has led all 22 laps thus far. We'll have a competition caution when we come back. Lap 25, the competition caution flag waving here. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Burger King at Dover International Speedway. The rains most of the night washing the rubber off, so NASCAR opting for safety to be able to bring the caution flag out here on lap 25 and allow these guys to come on pit road and take a look at their tires.
Yeah, they might just get right sides a lot of cars, especially like Tony Stewart back in 25th. 29th is Carl Edwards. Some of those guys might take this opportunity to steal a little track position.
Still have 38 cars on the lead lap. John Andretti, Nemechek, Bliss, and McDowell showing a lap down Tony Raines in the garage area of the 43 that have started. Typically, how long does it take a concrete track like this to get back to where it was when they were so comfortable with it yesterday at happy hour?
Well, typically it takes a long time. I mean, the tires that they've been running here up until this race, it would take quite a few laps. But this tire lays rubber down nice and early and quick. I mean, you see the track already getting black. Here come the leaders down pit road. Coming to you, Vince.
Well, the decision here in the discussion between the crew chief and the driver, 2 tires or 4. They've settled on 2 as the 9 Budweiser pulls in. They fell a lap down early in this race in the spring and had to race their way back to a strong finish. They believe they've got another strong car today. Jamie.
And Ryan Newman moved his way up to second. They're going to take right sides only. Air pressure adjustment dropped the track bar. He said he's a little free on exit. Shannon?
Juan Pablo Montoya says that the car is loose in and tight off. They've built a ton of adjustability into this car. It's a track bar adjustment for the 42. Dave.
Runaway leader so far. Jimmy Johnson doesn't want any adjustments to his car. He says it's much more stable today. Cars going by him that took just 2, he will choose to take 4.
There you see the 2 tires and Jimmy Johnson getting 4. Look what it does for positions on the racetrack in terms of losing positions.
Well, McMurray, the big winner out of that round, gains 12 spots.
Mark Martin, by the way, took 4 tires as well. Some of the guys started that were outside the top 10 opting for 4 fresh Goodyears. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Here are the current standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year. Points are accumulated by the team who wins the race by fan votes and by an ESPN pick. You see there Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Matt Kenseth. You can make your pick for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year by texting the car number for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. Standard messaging rates will apply. And we talk about fast pit crews. Let's go over the wall with Mark Hollywood Armstrong.
Okay, we talked about the adjustability, and here goes some adjustability. We're going to pull a packer out of both fronts.
See Mark pulling out there. Those are packers out of the bump stops. Going to allow the car to travel just a little bit more. They use those packers to adjust the height of the car when they actually sit down on that bump stop in the corners. Looks like he needed just a little more travel.
Traveling some front grip in those front tires. Probably not turning as well as he would like.
Getting set for the first ever double file restart shootout style here at Dover. Back at the AAA 400. Lap 29 after the competition yellow coming out on lap 25. Ryan Newman, our leader. Kurt Busch is second. Casey Kane and Paul Menard, the top 4.
A really good chance to see here how 2 tires do work.
Casey Kane gets a terrible start there.
And Kurt Busch trying to move to the inside and take that spot away and take the lead away from Newman, but Newman will have nothing of it.
No, got trouble getting into 3, guys.
Joey Logano.
Big crash.
Oh, he's upside down.
Over and over, Logano goes between 3 and 4.
No.
The car will come back to rest on all 4 tires. Heavy crash here on lap 32.
See Robbie Gordon, Martin Truex, Reed Sorensen involved in this.
I looked up, saw the 20 car on the apron getting into the corner. See the crew here, they're trying to see the replay.
Now the window net is down. The drivers are told in the drivers meeting that if you are awake and alert, put that window net down so we know, the safety crews will know. There's the window net down on Robbie Gordon's car. This is the moment we talked about in the pre-race show, guys, that this stuff could happen in a hurry here, even at Dover.
And especially after on a restart when all the cars are bunched together. It's good to see here that the window net came down on that 20 car.
We're a little obscured from how that car got so low on the back straightaway. Andy, I saw it, just could barely see the roof of the car.
Yeah, I looked up and he was way down on the apron, actually entering the corner, way before the entry.
There's a great sign right there. Joey Logano coming out of the car.
That's a scary looking crash right there.
Young man had so much success at this racetrack, really got his name out there when he won a Camping World East race here for NASCAR, won a championship here, made his first nationwide start earlier in the year, becoming the youngest winner in NASCAR Sprint Cup history. There's Robbie Gordon out of his car. We'll get a wrecker to take it back to the garage area.
The cars have been stopped on the back straightaway because of the amount of debris. They didn't want them running through this. See heavy damage on Martin Truex's car.
Let's show you how this all unfolded here on the restart, going down the back straightaway.
Really just kind of a stack-up effect. Like was one of them got on the brakes and kind of forced. Yeah, look at Tony Stewart just missing this crash. Man, here's where it really gets exciting. Man.
We talked about that there's nowhere to go as you come off of these corners, and when something like this happens, you make a commitment, and you've got one opportunity really to miss this wreck. Tony Stewart did a great job. Some others got caught up in. Let's drive along with Tony Stewart here. See it develop right in front of him. He actually got into the back of the 20 as he checked up.
And you know it's going to be bad right here when he comes up in front of traffic. Reed Sorensen makes the impact. Scott Speed got a piece of it also.
The car's actually going backwards when it starts to lift up and go over and begin to tumble.
Yeah, it's just being pushed, and as he kind of dug in a little bit and it was continued to get pushed there, that's what got it up and rolling.
And you hear what you would talk about how high the banks are here, and you see he's just tumbling down that bank. There's so much height difference right there from the top of the bank down to the apron.
3 stories the difference between the top and the bottom. 24-degree banks. Just side over side over side, a violent impact. And the good news that this new car that NASCAR brought on, 3 years ago, and the driver able to walk away and walk into the ambulance. A violent crash here on lap 31, taking out 4 cars at Dover, Delaware. The Monster Mile can be very cruel, and it has certainly already bitten 4 drivers here as they were working lap 32. We are under a red flag, and there is one of the heavily damaged cars of Joey Logano. Let's show you what happened. They were working lap 32, coming up the backstretch. Now, middle of the back straightaway. Look at Tony Stewart right behind the 20 car.
Yeah, you can see Bobby Labonte pulled down to get to the inside. Joe Logano had to check up a little bit. Tony Stewart got into the back of him with his wheels turned left, moving down the track. That sent him down on the apron and then back up in front of the rest of these cars. This is an accident that is, you heard it said before, racing accidents. That's exactly what this is. There's nowhere to place blame. Everybody's just going kind of for the same spot. And when things check up and happen very quick, you have to understand they're going 170 miles an hour right here.
And you can see right there just how quick that happened.
Come on, Steve. Come on.
Now watch Bobby Labonte move down right in front of the 20.
Yeah, you can see Logano got it just into the back of the 96 there just for a split second, but he had to check up not to hit the 96 any harder, and when he did, Tony wasn't able to check up quite as quickly.
Let's listen to Bobby Labonte's radio.
Went low to protect the inside, as you said it was clear, so I went down a little bit, and he hit me. Boom, and then next thing I know, he spun out. Yeah, you still were clear, and he hit you after that. After he got hit.
That pretty well explains it. I mean, Bobby really didn't do anything wrong. He just trying to, like I said, protect his position, getting in the corner so they didn't get freight trained and a line of cars go by him on the inside.
There is Tom Logano, the father of Joey, and he obviously running down to check on his son at the care center. And the good news is that Joey Logano did get out of this car and walk on his own to the ambulance to be taken into the care center. Now, let's talk about safety for a moment, and we'll show you why these drivers were able to walk away as we go down to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Jerry. You know, the cars are a lot safer, but the equipment inside the cars, take, for instance, the Hans device. It's actually the head and neck support system. It keeps the head from coming forward. But still yet, inside the car, the guys work very hard to make sure that when a driver's in place, the helmet's sitting in between these two support systems on the side. What that does, it keeps the head from flopping around. And as long as you stay in the environment of this seat, your chances of walking away are very good.
Tim, it's a great explanation. And DJ, when they first came out with this, drivers were complaining that it took away their visibility and took away their ability to turn their helmet. But now you're able to see that the safety does play a major role.
Yeah, it really does. And it's amazing how far this has come. You see Jeff Gordon, Hendrick Motorsports requires all of their drivers to run this seat, and it is great innovation. All of this safety stuff inside the cars has been fantastic. So that's why these guys can do this, and I think Jamie's with one of the drivers that was involved in this accident.
Well, Robbie Gordon has been released. He says he's just fine, but Robbie, you were just right there, wrong place at the right time. What did you see?
Well, all I remember seeing was, how do I say it, Tony, or I saw the 20 car down on the bottom, and he just shot across the track. Looks like he must have got pushed to the bottom or something happened going into 3. And I went to the high side trying to slow down. And unfortunately, we got caught up in it. But you know, for our car, for the Camping World car, it wasn't nothing but a radiator. But it's, you know, normal practice. Go to the emergency, go to the care center and check it out. I'm glad that the Joey's good. I mean, I remember being stopped there and looking at that thing, flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping, and I was excited to see him climb out of that thing.
I'm glad you're okay as well, and we'll catch up with Joey Logano as soon as he's released, Doc.
Drivers are all okay. That's the good news, but it is a very violent sport. Almost 180 miles an hour as they enter turn 3 over there. And look at Logano's car, side over side over side. And what was a Toyota Camry is now a large heap of junk being taken to the garage area.
When do I feel it? I feel it every time my adrenaline kicks in.
I'm reeling in later, baby.
I feel it when those belts pull tight. I still feel it to this day. I feel it when smoke takes the lead.
And I feel it when we take the win.
Most of all, I feel it here.
This is our
NASCAR.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Burger King under a red flag here on lap 32. Violent impact, and now Jamie Little is caught up with one of the drivers involved.
Martin Truex Jr., local boy. We just saw his car get pulled through here. Another wrecked race car. Early day, Martin. What did you see?
I didn't see a whole lot. Just heard the spotter yelling that they were spinning out, and I was hoping they would be gone by the time I got there, and they weren't. You know, you just can't slow down here when you go off in the corner so fast, and you know they were wrecking right there before the middle of the corner. So we'll take a look and see what happened. But it's unfortunate, you know. We had a pretty good car yesterday in happy hour, and I was looking forward to the race. It's a shame we didn't last very long, but it's just kind of how our years have been. So it's been frustrating, but the guys have been working hard, and we'll come back next week and try to have a good run.
How are the conditions right now? We've had a lot of rain, green rain racetrack, and this happened early.
Yeah, the track's fine. It had nothing to do with the track. It was just guys checking up, and Joey looked like he checked up. 96 checked up. Joey checked up and looked like Tony got in the back of him. Just one of those things here, when you're back in the pack, it happens on restarts. So track's good to go. I mean, it rubbered up 3 or 4 laps, and actually had some when we first started even, which I was surprised. So track's great. It's going to be a good race. Just unfortunate we're not involved in it.
Good to know the track's all right, and good to know Martin Truex Jr. is all right, and Reed Sorensen has been released now as well.
That's just like we talked about at the beginning of the race, is that track position is so important, especially early here, because of these problems that can happen. And the best place to be and the only safe place to be is in front of it. And that's why I would always, every time I got a chance to steal some track position, I would try to get 2 tires, do whatever I could just to try to get in front of these things, try to avoid these kind of things. And we're here now that Martin Truex team, they did take 4 tires that last caution, so you know they had to give up track position to do that.
Very high banks on the concrete here and very narrow but very fast straightaways. It is Dover. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Still under a red flag here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series coverage presented by Burger King. Tony Stewart sitting in his Chevy back in 26th position, and there is some damage on his car. Andy, how much will that affect him?
Well, he's got some damage in the front from the contact we saw. We see some in the rear also. They need to clean that up on that right rear corner right there. But, I mean, it's nothing that's going to keep him from having a good day if they can get some of this stuff fixed, but they're going to have to work on it a little bit.
Let's listen to his radio.
I hit him square, but, man, I couldn't do nothing, bud.
It's fine. I mean, they nothing you could do there when they check up like that. Bobby come down on him there. That's all he could do.
Yeah, he didn't have even a chance to check up there.
No, there's just nothing you can do. Again, these cars are traveling over 170 miles an hour. You heard Martin Truex talk about how fast you're going down into the corner, and that's just one of those things that's going to happen sometimes. You can see Tony got hit in the rear too. That might have propelled him into Joey.
Let's hear from Reed Sorensen. Jamie.
Well, he had the best view of this thing. We're going to watch the replay again. Reed, of course, you could take a look now and tell us what you saw and what you were thinking and how you think this car was flipping in front of you.
Well, you know, by the time I got to Joey, I think pretty much everything was out of our hands at that point. You know, the one was pushing me into the 20 there kind of, and I was trying to slow down as much as I could, but looks like the 96 got checked up somehow, and then the 20 checked up, and I saw the 14 get into the 20. And, you know, he was on the brakes pretty hard, and I tried to go the outside of him and try to get around the wreck there, and the 20 came right back up the track in front of us. So it's a pretty wild wreck. It's something you don't really plan for. Or you can't miss those kind of wrecks. It just kind of happened right in front of us, and Joey's okay. I talked to him, and just glad he's all right. I think he's a little shaken up by it, but, you know, it's one of those deals. It's a fast racetrack, and it's, you know, as close as we're running out here, as soon as one person checks up, it's kind of a chain reaction, and cause a little pile up there, but I don't know, just bad luck.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great. It's I didn't hit very hard or anything. It just, when I went up the track to try to miss the wreck, and I couldn't even see Joey until he got right in front of us, and next thing I know, I'm underneath his car and I see him flipping. So I didn't hit very hard at all. Just kind of tore the nose of the car when we got stuck underneath him there. But just happy to be here. The Valvoline guys did great today, and I don't know if we're going to get back out there or not. It looks like the car got tore pretty bad on the front end, but we'll try to get back out there and get some points.
Well, Reed Sorensen says Joey Logano was okay in speaking, and I see him being released from the medical center. As soon as he gets here, Doc, we're going to get a word from he, and his dad is following behind him, and Coach Gibbs as well.
Thank you, Jamie. That is good news. A frightening crash here. 4 cars involved. The good news is that all 4 drivers appear to be okay. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to Dover International Raceway. Joey Logano caught up in that vicious wreck, has been released. Joey, first of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just really scared the heck out of me. That's pretty much what the biggest thing was. I was fine the whole time. It's just not 100% sure what happened. Spotter was clearing me low. I got down there, and then they checked up getting into the corner, and looked like I got tagged from behind. I'm not really sure. I haven't seen a replay yet. I'm not sure I want to see a replay, but seemed like it started rolling, and I was in there like, damn, please make this thing stop. And it wouldn't, and it just kept going and going. But I was fine. It goes to show how safe these cars are. They're really, I mean, I was fine. I think we had a pretty good Home Depot Toyota. We took off good. We lost a few spots after the first pit stop, but yeah, it was early in the race for that. And it just startled me. I'm fine. That's the big part.
Joey, you've done a lot of racing in your young 19 years. How did that compare to anything you've been through?
That was the wildest ride I've ever been on. You can't go on a roller coaster any worse than that.
Is your body feeling okay as of now?
Yeah, I'm just still shaking, that's all, but I'm fine. I'm not even sore, which is really surprising after all that. And I'm just happy it landed on its wheels. When I was on my side, that's when I was getting worried for a minute, but it came back down. Thank God. The good Lord was with me on that one.
Joey, we're glad you're okay, and he's still got that adrenaline pumping right now, Doc, but glad to see he was able to walk away from that one.
Wow, that is amazing, Jamie. That car rolled 7 times, side over side, 7 1/4 times, and he is able to walk away and come back and talk to you. How safe are these cars here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series? Under a red flag, lap 32 of 400, Ryan Newman being shown as our leader. Lap 32 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Burger King. The yellow is out. The cars are rolling in the 99 on pit road.
Yeah, they're changing that left side end plate on that wing. Pit road's closed, but they came down anyway just to go ahead and get this work done. The penalty is they'll have to start in the rear, but they needed to get in here early and get that fixed. Pit road will be open this time by. See if anybody comes down.
They just pitted on lap 27, and we'd gone back to the green flag on lap 31 when this incident happened. Now, what about the 14 car? You think he'll come down and try to take a look at some of the damage on that car?
Well, we'll see. Yeah, he looks like he is going to make it in here.
4 tires and 9 stays. We'll just work on it.
Sometimes you just need to get this done, get this work out of the way. He's coming down towards you, Vince.
They're going to put some bear bond on the front nose of this race car and go ahead and put 4 tires on it. Darian Grubb took a look at the front end. He doesn't think it's major damage, but it's enough that they do want to address. So they brought the 14 in for Tony Stewart, hoping that it's not going to cause them any damage or ill effects throughout the course of the race. But that's the addressing that's being done right now. Little sheet metal, using the sheet metal.
See him going up there to the front and patching that hole. Taking this bear bond to attach that panel there, that patch they put on it.
We are at Dover International Speedway, and a violent impact produced a red flag at over 23 minutes. Now, we had just gone back to a restart on lap 31 when coming down the back straightaway, there was a chain reaction crash involving 4 cars. Tony Stewart's car involved in a little bump from behind by the 20 car, and suddenly Joey Logano's car is going side over side. There's the 20 car. 7 times it rolled over. You see the 43 of Reed Sorensen, Robbie Gordon involved, the 1 of Martin Truex Jr.
Just seemed like this car would never stop tumbling. It just kept flipping over. Finally comes to rest. And lucky for Joey, it did come back down on the wheels here.
And the best news that all 4 of those drivers involved have been checked out and released at the Infield Care Center. They are okay. We talked about how things happen in a hurry here at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, and we talked at the top of our show. Everyone said Talladega is a wild card race because things can happen so quickly there, but there were a number of drivers in the garage area who were very worried about this place.
Yeah, things always happen. They happen quickly here, and I tell you, we get ready to go back to green. These drivers are going to face another racetrack too. As we talked about getting the rubber down, the sun's come out here. Pretty much the clouds have gone away.
Let's talk to our in-race reporter, Tony Stewart, and check on his car.
Hey, Tony, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Yeah, man.
Any damage that you know about that's going to affect your race car here for the rest of this race?
They had to put a plate on the front to cover up a hole there where I drove through Joey there. I wish I'd have saw that coming, because I don't know how to say sorry enough to Joey, because I don't know what happened. I mean, he just had to check up, and I didn't see it coming or anticipate it coming, and I drove flat through him. But Darren and these guys in the Spurt King team did a good job getting the plate back on the front to cover the hole up and getting a couple screws in, and plus getting the bear bond on the outside of it. So it should hold it, plenty secure. And it's better just to take the time to fix it now early in the race than having to try to fix it later.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you.
You heard him talking about Joey Logano. Joey became somewhat of a protege because Joey was going to take over the ride that Tony had driven for 10 years and vacated to go form his own team. And that 20 car that Tony made so famous and won 2 championships with. So they became friends, and Tony was really helping the young man. So the last thing he'd want to ever do was have contact with anyone, but much less someone like Joey Logano.
Yeah, we can tell from what we saw there's nothing Tony could do there. That was just a chain reaction thing, and nothing he could have done to avoid it.
Carl Edwards had come on pit road too soon before pits was open to get that end plate fixed, so he'll start at the back of the field. Meanwhile, up front, it is a double foul restart. Ryan Newman, the leader, Kurt Busch, Paul Menard, Greg Biffle. That's a top 4. Jamie McMurray having a good run thus far. Casey Kane, who was the quickest car in happy hour in final practice. He has come toward the front very quickly. Watch for that 9 car to make a move. Here they come for the green flag.
Ryan Newman, both of his times, has chosen the outside lane to restart this race in. Seems to be working.
We can see Kyle Busch. He's making a move on the outside, passing a few cars, still going.
Trying to get to the high side of Clint Boyer, the 33 car, and trying to move in on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. That's 9th, 10th, and 11th position.
You can make that outside really work here for the first couple of laps when you've got some grip and the car's down on the inside, low air pressures and things. You can really make that outside work to your advantage.
3 wide, Mark Martin getting into 3. On the outside, that was risky.
There's Martin, top of your screen, as he's in right in behind the 83 and the 11 car that are running side by side for position. That's 14th.
All of these drivers talked a lot about the double file restarts here, how it might affect them. And yeah, we've always had double file restarts after you had lap traffic, but here you've got cars that are fast race cars that you're having to deal with for a number of laps. So they were really concerned about how this may play out here.
You talk about drivers who were concerned. Denny Hamlin, you saw that 11 car make a pass a moment ago, and Hamlin has had abysmal luck at this place, and he said he was really dreading coming here. The last 4 times here, he has finished 36th or worse.
Casey Kane making a move on Paul Menard. Yeah, we saw that luck continue yesterday in the nationwide race with Denny Hamlin. Had a good car and then got caught up in something.
And there is Juan Pablo Montoya moving into your picture and also moving in to the 5th position.
Paul Menard's done a nice job. He stayed in the top 10 during that 25-lap run and then got 2 tires on that. Still running very well here today, but Montoya is able to pass him and take over that 5th spot.
Now look at Jeff Gordon. We talked about how his car was really out of sorts yesterday in the final practice session, and they were working so hard to get him dialed in, and he's a factor here early on.
Yeah, he was good that first run. I watched him start towards the end of that first run, really making some progress. So I think they found something at the end of happy hour that really lit this car up, but he did struggle for most of that practice.
I think part of that, listening to Jeff's interview before the race too, I think they went over and took a lot of that 48 stuff because they knew he did the tire test here and he was very fast here throughout every practice session. So I would say they incorporated some of that into their setup too.
Hamlin, the 11 car, 5 is Martin, and they are trying to go by the 31 car of Burton. That would be for position. That's 13th spot.
Well, yeah, a lot of great racing going on here. These guys are side by side and really having to battle for each and every spot. You can't really define if the bottom is the fastest way around or if that second groove is going to be working pretty good here today.
Well, look how quickly this track has rubbered in and gotten dark there. It took 400 laps last year and it never got this dark. And here we are just 44 laps in, and this new Goodyear tire really gripping the racetrack. More on the 11 car. Dave.
You talked about their lack of luck here, and in talking with crew chief Mike Ford this morning, he understands it as well. In fact, he was a little bit concerned about how much they had to tighten up the setup of this car this time because they were worried about right front issues. You know, too much wear on that right front, and this place definitely tends toward that. I said, okay, what happened to the string here, by the way? He said, a right front went on us. So they've been a little bit concerned about that, but so far, so good. And we'll see on one of these long runs how that right front has taken all the abuse.
I can promise you that's not out of the minds of most crew chiefs. You know, this track is so hard on right front tires. You know, you just got to always think about that, and that's why you'll see every time they have a caution, they'll at least get right side tires to try to extend that wear as much as they can.
Back behind this group, the 88 car now on the move. Dale Earnhardt Jr. We told you that he started 23rd a week ago in New Hampshire, got all the way into the top 5, and was involved in a side-by-side incident that took him out of the race. He's on the move again.
Yeah, he really is. Made a couple of passes there on the top side of the racetrack. Got himself up into the 17th or 16th spot right now. He told me on Friday that car last week was the best car he had had all year. He's giving up a spot to A.J. and Allmendinger there, who's having a good run. A.J. was really good in practice here yesterday, but Junior said that was the best car he's had all year. He hated that it ended up the way that it did.
And the 5 car, Mark Martin, just made the pass on the 11 for 13th position. So now they're going to try to run down the 33 car of Clint Boyer, who's up in 12th spot.
Well, those first few laps of the race, that 5 car was just about out of control, but now that the track's rubbered in, he looks really good.
Ryan Newman, our leader here, at Dover International Speedway. He has now led the last 20 consecutive laps. Back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Lots more motorsports coverage to come throughout the weekend here. The O'Reilly Superstart Batteries NHRA Fall Nationals Finals coming your way 7 o'clock Eastern time tonight on ESPN2. And then we'll wrap up the entire weekend on NASCAR Now tonight, weekend edition, talking about what happened here with the NASCAR Nationwide and Sprint Cup races. And, of course, next weekend we go to Kansas City. Kansas City, here we come. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, 3 Eastern time next Saturday on ESPN2. And the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Kansas on ABC Live at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Battle up front here in the AAA 400 at Dover. Ryan Newman is the leader, and Kurt Busch wants it.
Yeah, not for long. Ryan Newman's going to lose this lead to Kurt Busch. This car's really coming in nice.
Let's update the 2 car. Shannon.
Well, it wasn't an ideal starting position for this number 2 car today. They started 16th, but you saw early on they were on the move. Very happy with the handling of the car, just a little bit loose. They made an air pressure adjustment on that last pit stop, as you see crew chief Pat Tryson looking on. But the biggest thing that got them this track position, guys, 2 right side tires.
Kurt Busch made his very first career start in a NASCAR Sprint Cup car here back in 2000. Now here's the younger brother Kyle Busch in the 18 car, and he's been moving up steadily, now being shown in the 7th position.
Yeah, he's moved up 10 spots since the restart. Tony Stewart's also moved up 10 spots from the back.
And Carl Edwards had to start in the very rear there. We've been watching Kyle Busch quite a bit here. He's really been in the middle of the racetrack where a lot of these guys are down more towards the bottom. He's really utilizing the middle portion of this track and making good time.
Back behind the 18 car, the 98 and 48, Paul Menard and Jimmy Johnson back in 8th and 9th position.
Jimmy, he got going pretty well at the start of the race, but he's struggling in this traffic some. He's going to make this pass on Paul Menard. Dave?
And guys, right now with the 48, he calls his car 2 words that are not good: bouncing and loose. So they didn't make any adjustments on that first stop. They're going to have to do some on the next stop.
And the 24 car, Jeff Gordon going by, taking the 5th position away from Casey Kane.
And to go back to something they were talking about that Dave said there about Jimmy Johnson talking about bouncing, I think that starts to happen here as this racetrack rubbers up. The rubber that's being put down on the track, it gets in the seams of this concrete also, and that can create a bouncing problem, as you see Montoya trying to take that 3rd spot away from Greg Biffle here. He will do that.
I don't know how many times I've heard the word basketballs here at this racetrack from a driver. They say that feels like the tires are basketballs bouncing through the corner.
The concrete is not your smoothest surface to begin with. They've ground this racetrack a number of times trying to smooth it up, but you still get a lot of that, and you put these cars and all of that in this rubber being put down, then it really makes that problem really stand out to a driver.
Several cars in the garage area. The 71 of David Gilliland, the 09 of Mike Bliss, and the 87 of Joe Nemechek have headed to the garage, and the 9 car is backing up.
And he is struggling. He's lost a couple spots here in the last few laps. Just pulls over and lets Kyle Busch go by.
I feel like my tires are blown up with air.
There we go. That's what I've heard. I don't know how many times. So it feels like the front tires just have way too much air in them, and it's just, it just makes them chatter and bounce through the corner.
And you'll hear that complaint from drivers at this racetrack more than you will any other because, again, of the surface and how fast that you're going here. As you see Montoya moving in, trying to take over that 2nd spot from Ryan Newman.
We talked about how Montoya is making his own history this year. In years past, only his 3rd full year as a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver, and he is driving that thing down underneath the Chevy of Ryan Newman to take a spot away.
Just keep shaking my head just what this 42 car and team has been able to do since they've gotten in this chase. I mean, it's just amazing how fast they are the last 2 weeks.
I think what's been great, they had a plan to make the chase. They followed that plan. They stuck with it. They had good race cars. They didn't ever win. See Jeff Gordon going to the high side here and trying to make that work. But now that they've gotten in the chase, their plan is full attack, and that's what they're doing.
Speaking of full attack, look at Jeff Gordon now taking the spot away from Ryan Newman.
Well, he slid up a track a moment ago, and it looked like the 16 Biffle was going to go back by him. Gordon gathered it back in and just drove underneath the 39.
In fact, the 2 tires might not be great for Ryan Newman, or either he ran the car just a little bit hard, which you can do here if you're not careful.
This is race number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and here are the points as of right now. Mark Martin, you see, with a 5-point advantage over Kurt Busch. There's Montoya, Johnson, Hamlin, and Newman. See, Casey Kane would have moved up a spot. You see Jeff Gordon already up a couple of spots after dropping back last weekend with the disappointments at New Hampshire. 68 laps in the books. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle, and Matt Kenseth are driving Fords, and you could be too. Go to I'mDriving1.com to hear what the stars of Ford Racing have to say and register to win your own 2010 Ford Taurus. Greg Biffle, last year's winner in the 16 car, running in 4th position. His best finish of the year thus far in 2009 came right here back in May when he finished 3rd.
He's kind of made this his own personal playground over the last few years. Having another good run today.
Up front is the 2 car of Kurt Busch. And he is on 2 tires. They made a 2-tire stop. Let's take you up to speed with the leaders, starting with Kurt Busch and Shannon Spade.
What a great run it's been for this 2 car so far today. He finished 5th earlier this season, and he said he felt that he had the car that could have won that race, and they pretty much picked up right where they left off. That 2-tire change really helped this car. It started off loose. Now it's a little bit on the snub side, and Kurt Busch says he likes the way it feels. But hunting him down right behind him is the 42 car of Juan Pablo Montoya. His crew is telling him he is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. This is a brand new race car that the 42 has brought here today. They actually brought it to the tire test earlier this season. They ran about 230 laps in that test and were able to try some different setups, including the one they unloaded with this weekend. Dave?
Jamie, DJ made a reference to sharing setups, and we played that piece in our countdown where the Hendrick teams work together. Steve Letarte, Jeff Gordon's crew chief, told me that we all changed a lot as a company overnight. The funny thing was that all weekend it seems like we've been changed a lot and only changed our speed faster or slower. The balances have stayed the same, and that's a good thing. Right now for Jeff, his car just a little bit tight on throttle as he continues on. 16 of Greg Biffle running right now with a similar problem, but a little tight off the corner for Biffle. Again, trying to duplicate the success he's had here at Dover so far. Right now running in good position. Jimmy Johnson has moved his way back up after a start where we talked about the basketballs, we talked about a bouncing race car, and crew chief Chad Knaus encouraging his driver as he makes a couple of passes up toward the front and puts himself back near where he started the race. Jamie?
And Ryan Newman, who was your leader there for a while, started out great, but that 2-tire option, as DJ said, is not working out right now. He's really loose. He wants a wedge adjustment and track bar adjustment. You see Tony Gibson on the right-hand side. This is one of the best tracks for Ryan Newman. It is his best in the chase, so they're looking to make this car better, guys.
And the car on the move, though, is right behind him, has been the 18 car of Kyle Busch, right behind Ryan Newman. There's Kyle back in the 7th position, and he is moving very quickly toward that top 5.
We see the 00 now pitting under green, out of fuel. I cannot believe that they made that mistake of not putting fuel in this car the last time. The rule is that you can't put fuel in before that competition caution. In other words, if it comes out at 10 or 12, you can't come in and put fuel in. But that's what that competition caution was for, was to be able to put fuel and tires on. Shannon?
Yeah, they little miscommunication there. They do not have enough fuel. This was a scheduled pit stop, but perfect timing also for David Rudiman because he thinks he may have a left front tire going down. So they're going to put 4 tires on this 00. They're going to take a look at that tire and see if there are any issues. We will also follow up to see if there are any problems on that 00.
So he will lose 1 lap and possibly 2 before he can get up to speed as the leader comes off of turn 4.
Well, we finally got a couple of cans of Sunoco fuel in there. Now he can get back to racing.
The 36 car, Michael McDowell, and the 66 of Dave Blaney have both gone to the garage area. 82 laps complete. Kurt Busch, our leader. Back at Dover under caution for the third time today. Let's show you exactly what happened. Now look at the right side of your screen, the 55 car coming into your screen there, right front tire.
And that's a hard hit by Michael Waltrip. That'll take your breath.
See, it does a ton of damage on that right front corner. It's good to see Michael able to drive it back in. Leaders are down pit road. Shannon?
Yeah, Kurt Busch, Juan Pablo Montoya, both of your leaders coming down pit road. They're both a little bit tight and are going to make some chassis adjustments. You see in the center of your screen right there, Juan Pablo Montoya getting ready to pull his car in. He will make 4-tire change and an air pressure adjustment to that 42 car. Guys, these guys have been stout since the beginning of the race and just looking to fine-tune that car to get it going for the next part of this race. Dave?
Jeff Gordon's car pretty good. The times look good to his crew chief, so they're not going to make any adjustments right now. 4 tires and Sunoco fuel for Gordon.
Watch a race off. Kurt Busch coming down. Jimmie Johnson still moving out, and the race off. Biffle will gain 3 positions. You see Kyle Busch up 4. And Andy, after watching what happened with those 2 tires, a lot of these guys is opting to get 4 this time.
Yeah, Kurt Busch made 2 tires work the last time, but he had to get 4 that time. Does a good job getting off pit road.
Working caution for the 3rd time today. Back at Dover after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Dover, getting set for the restart, and the pit road here is very narrow and it is very tight, just trying to get off. Take a look.
I don't know how many times we see this at Dover. You see Denny Hamlin pulling out of his stall. 2 cars were side by side, and he gets into the left rear of the 17. And now look at Montoya.
Yeah, he makes a good pit stop, but he gets boxed in right here. You can see he loses a spot to the 18, and now the 48's also going to beat him off pit road. Very tight down there.
But a wise move by Juan Pablo Montoya to jump on the brakes and not bend those fenders or possibly cut a tire and have to come back in. Kurt Busch, our leader here, as we go back to the green flag. Lap 89 of 400 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action at Dover International Speedway. It is stop number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Greg Biffle in 2nd spot. Jimmie Johnson wants it. There's Kyle Busch behind Jimmie Johnson in the 18 car. Kyle gained 3 positions on pit road. Great pit work, and now is trying to get up and lead a lap today. Heck, he'd like to lead them all.
Yeah, he would like to lead them all.
See, Biffle able to clear Jimmie Johnson off of turn 2. Got a nice run off the bottom.
See that 18 working the middle of the racetrack, actually working up higher this time.
See him lose the front end just a little bit right there. That might cost him. See if Gordon can take that spot.
We're warning about, we'll watch the battle here. The 48 car getting ready to move on the inside of Biffle for position, and Montoya down on the inside of the 24 car.
It looks like Gordon's struggling a little bit on this restart here. You can see as Montoya got up to his back bumper, car wiggled a little bit coming off too, but he's able to make a nice run off turn 4 and keep the spot for the time being. There goes Montoya by now, though.
That is for the 5th position. Montoya 5th, Gordon 6th. There's Ryan Newman 7th, and Mark Martin is in 8th position.
Yeah, he's been steadily moving up. He lost some spots early in the race, and now you see moving under Ryan Newman, who's got a loose race car.
You're going to have to deal with this 5 car before this day's over with. This racetrack and his setup's coming to him now.
Martin, a 4-time winner at Dover, Delaware. Having won the Chase Race 1 last week in New Hampshire, coming in as the points leader. Kyle Busch now on the bottom of the racetrack, taking a spot away from the 16 car. He will be 3rd now.
It looks like he's got a car to his liking today, too. Montoya. Man, it's guy's just got a good race car. He lost those couple spots in the pits. Obviously didn't let that affect him. Getting it back on the racetrack.
You would never believe the fact that Juan Pablo Montoya has never even had a lead lap finish at this racetrack, but he came here, as you heard Shannon say, back in August and ran over 200 laps as the tire test. What a difference that has made for this team. Here 14th, 15th, and 16th, the 83 car of Vickers, a 17 of Kenseth. 98 is there, Paul Menard.
Paul Menard having a good, solid day here.
Yeah, and it's good to see Matt Kenseth in the 17 having a good day. That's struggled the last couple of weeks, but he's back on track here.
We saw him in practice yesterday lay down some really good laps in some longer runs of anyone that was on the racetrack. The 83 had really been fast in coming on at the end of that last run before we had that caution flag for Michael Waltrip's blown tire. See if he can get it going back forward.
We saw the 11 car have some contact on pit road, lost some positions trying to come off of pit road a moment ago. Let's update him, Dave.
And the crew's getting a good look at that right front right now. They don't believe the damage to be really hurting Denny too much. They had Kevin Harvick, who you can see there right behind him, pull up next to him just to give an idea of, actually right in front of him there, just to give an idea of whether the damage was severe or minor. And when Harvick reported to him that it was minor, they decided to stay out, and they'll take a look at it if they need to do anything on the next caution.
A little teamwork on the racetrack, having someone look at your race car for you. Jeff Gordon now easing in slowly but surely on Greg Biffle. That would be for the 5th spot.
As we watch this battle, just to let you know, David Rudiman was able to take the wave around before that last restart. He is now just one lap back after he had to make that pit stop for fuel under the green flag.
And he would be the first car a lap down, by the way, and eligible to get the free pass or lucky dog if the caution were to come out here very soon. A fourth of the way through here, Dover International Speedway, 100 to 400 laps in the books. And there's the guy you were talking about a moment ago, DJ, that 5 car of Mark Martin.
Yeah, he's steadily on the move. Looked like he's got his car a little bit loose right there, but able to hang on to it. He's really right on the bottom of the track, making some time.
Mark Martin making his 750th career start. His first start April 5th, 1981. At North Wilkesboro Speedway. Folks, there are 9 drivers in this race today who weren't born when Martin made his first Cup start back in 1981. Kurt Busch, our leader in the 2 car. He has now led the last 44 laps, just past the 100 lap mark. Back in a moment.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series on ABC. Brought to you by Pepsi. Tune in before the Pepsi 500 on ABC for the premiere of Together, the Hendrick Motorsports story. Presented by Pepsi. Autotrader.com. When you search for a car on Autotrader.com, you can narrow by model, color, and price. Find the car you want at the price you want at Autotrader.com. Goodyear. Innovative technology to help you get there. And UPS. See David Reagan go head-to-head with UPS drivers in Maximum Driver at racing.ups.com.
And a reminder that ESPN's Monday Night Football continues in the new Cowboy Stadium as the Carolina Panthers come to town, led by Steve Smith, to take on Tony Romo and the Cowboys. Panthers-Cowboys on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage beginning with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern Time. Just past the 1/4 point of today's second race in the chase for the Sprint Cup here at the Monster Mile, Dover International Speedway. Kurt Busch is out in front, leading Jimmy Johnson by that gap. You see there, Kurt, Jimmy, and Ryan Newman, the 3 chasers who have led in this race, and the only drivers that have led besides David Gilliland, leading a lap on an exchange of pit stops. Now, that's the chasers on the good end of the spectrum. Guys farther back in the pack. Tony Stewart in the 14 running 21st. Carl Edwards in the 99 running in 22nd spot. Stewart involved in an incident back at lap number 31, sustained some damage to the nose of his car as well as the right rear quarter panel.
Yeah, the right rear quarter panel is what I'm most concerned about in Tony's car right now. They did fix this, got a pretty big dent in the right side, and we all know that these quarter panels are very, very important. It looks like it's going to be okay, but I will tell you that spot on the right rear is one of the key parts on these cars nowadays. You got to keep that thing right.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And the one thing that's interesting to me, though, is the difficulty that I see that Tony's having and the rest of the cars of getting up and getting into some pack racing and also having a chance to pass. But let's go down to Vince and talk to him real quick. Vince, you got an update on Tony Stewart?
Well, I think that was certainly going to be something to keep an eye on when they came in and they put the sheet metal there on the front of Tony's car. They did some damage control on the right rear quarter panel, as you guys addressed. But Tony came on the radio a few minutes ago and said the car is better since the adjustments that we've made. He's just going to ride around for a while. He knows it's a long race, but no complaints with the race car up through this point. And that's certainly a sigh of relief for this 14 team after the damage they sustained in that incident involving Joey Logano.
All right, Vince, thanks. So that's the update on Tony Stewart in 21st spot. Right behind him, Carl Edwards in 22nd. On a caution flag pit stop earlier, had to replace the end plate on their back wing on the left side of that car.
Yeah, it's a key thing. If they don't have that end plate, NASCAR pulls them in. They got to have it on the race. And Edwards took the time to fix it. Now, that put him in the back of the field. And that put him, he's way behind right now. He's running 22nd, like you said. Marks his way to the front, but his lap times are about 0.4 of a second slower than our leader, Kurt Busch. So they got to work hard to get this car handling better.
So that's some of the championship chasers that are struggling. Meantime, you saw Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 take third place away from Kyle Busch. And meanwhile, in front of him, Jimmie Johnson continuing to close on Kurt Busch for the #1 spot. So that's what's going on for now from the pit studio. Let's go back upstairs to Dr. Jerry Punch, Dale Jarrett, and Andy Petrie.
Thank you, guys. There comes the 5-car Mark Martin, and behind him the 24-car of Jeff Gordon. Dave.
He's lost 2 positions since the restart, Doc, and not happy about his race car. Listen.
Wow. Jesus, that's so good. I'm on ice. Everybody else is out here on rails. I'm just completely sideways. Simple. Just keep doing the best you can. We got a long time. We'll tighten it up next stop.
Sorry about that, Steve. We'll try to know about everybody else being on rails, but Jeff certainly right now not happy with that car all over the place, but still in the top 5. Or actually 6 now.
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to probably chase this racetrack throughout the day as you get more rubber down on the racetrack. The sun's beating down. Things are heating up a little bit, so I think their work is going to continue quite a bit on this car.
Yeah, I see this track really getting dark. I'm not so sure that we won't see that to be actually a problem of rubber buildup on the racetrack. You see just how much black there is there. This track is really laying down the rubber. That's the beginning of the race. You can see on the left, and then you see it now.
Yeah, and that doesn't equate to more grip for these cars. Actually, as that rubber builds up, it creates problems in trying to get these tires to grip, so they have to do things. That's why you continue to do air pressure, track bar things to create grip for yourself.
See the 9-car there, Casey Kane. They had troubles in their pit stop, and they lost 4 positions on pit road. He's now making his way back in toward the top 5. He's currently being shown in 7th position. Vince.
Well, and Casey Kane admonished his crew after that pit stop. He said, come on, guys, we got to be better when we come in. Track position is so critical out on the track. You can't give up spots in pit lane. They came right back on the radio and said, that won't happen again, Casey. Start digging. The car is much better. He's one earlier that said, as Andy mentioned, it felt like the car was on 4 basketballs instead of tires, but the car is better since they came in and got 4 fresh Goodyears, and Kane is putting the pressure on Gordon and trying to work his way back into the top 5. Remember, he had been in the top 5 early in the race, running solid, and then dipped down into about the 10 through 15 range, looking much better like he had a car earlier in the race, Doc.
So he moves in on the 24 car, and we'll show you what happened to the 9 car on pit road and the frustration of Casey Kane.
Casey Kane has that first pit stall coming on pit road. Got a good shot here of the right side tire change from the rear, and they're having a hard time getting that right rear off. That's what cost them the time. Cost them quite a few seconds there.
Definitely come off a lot easier when you got all the lug nuts off, right, Andy?
Yep, I always said that's the cardinal rule right there. You have to make sure you get them all off the first time. So it takes forever to come back and get that lug nut.
So Casey Kane making a comeback. We do want to mention, by the way, the 1 car, Martin Truex Jr., back on the racetrack. He is being shown 86 laps down. But Truex from nearby Mayetta, New Jersey, a lot of people coming to watch him race, involved in that violent 4-car crash on lap 32. He's back on the track. Our leader is Kurt Busch, 122 laps in the books. You're watching NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Burger King. Now Sprint brings you an inside look at the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the Now Network. Our current top 3 in points, well, our points leader is the 5-car. That is Mark Martin coming in second with the 48 of Jimmie Johnson. And now Kurt Busch has gained a couple of positions as of right now. He's our leader at the race. He is in 3rd. You see he's 25 points back. And the top speed of the day is 172 miles an hour. That was recorded by Ryan Newman entering the corner. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. That 9 car is on the move. He's now been able to go by the struggling 24 of Jeff Gordon to take the 6th spot away.
They worked on Jeff for a few laps. He ran up on his bumper, looked like he was going to get by him, and then it's like he lost the nose for a few laps and fell back about 3 or 4 car lengths, but was able to make another run and get by Jeff this time.
Back up front, the 48 beginning to inch in a little bit. Now 8 of the top 10 cars right now in the race are chase contenders. The only 2 that aren't in the chase are the 4th place car of Kyle Busch and the 9th of Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, really watching Jimmie Johnson search around on this racetrack. He's been to the middle of the racetrack, up to the upper side of the racetrack, trying to find out what could be fast enough to get him to Kurt Busch's bumper. I think he's working on it now.
He has inched his way up there, and now Kurt Busch has caught some traffic. This might be a good time for Jimmy to take advantage of it.
Yeah, just watching this, looks like the 2 cars gotten a little bit tight on the exit of the corner. Jimmie Johnson's getting a really good run off the corner. The 2's pretty much stayed married to that bottom part of the racetrack. Jimmy's been searching, and I think it's working for him.
Check out Montoya. He's catching these 2 cars up front also. And he's running up on the racetrack. You can see there, he's not running right on the bottom through the middle of the corner.
I think that's what one thing's impressive about Montoya too. No longer than he's been in this series, he's really good at searching around the racetrack and finding where his car is the best also. He's not afraid to change his line a little bit, make his car go faster. Shannon?
And the crew's not afraid to work on that car. They started this race with the same setup that they unloaded with this weekend, and that setup was good on a green racetrack. They knew that once the track started to rubber in, they were then going to have to chase the car all day, and that's what they're planning on doing. Brian Patty said, let's expect to do track bar adjustments throughout the rest of the day, because Juan Pablo says the car keeps getting tight. But guys, lap 25 in a run, that's right about the sweet spot for Juan Pablo Montoya, because that's when his car gets really fast.
And he is really fast right now, reeling in those front twosome there of Kurt Busch and Jimmie Johnson as Kurt was trying to get underneath the 78 car of Regan Smith. Now Johnson goes by, and Montoya is just a car length back.
It's tire buildup, like in Martinsville, like we were talking about. We're on a little different line that's helping to tight off some.
Yeah, we talked about this rubber getting laid down, and what will happen, it usually happens on the shorter tracks, but we see it happening here today, and that's a concrete surface at Martinsville also with this rubber, and it'll actually, if you get on it with the tires, it'll actually make the car skate, so you have to work around that, and you have to really be extremely careful. So that's what Jimmie Johnson was talking about and has been doing here.
And we've only run 136 laps, and so there's a lot of laps to go. And that sun being on the racetrack does seem to make that rubber build up even more. I mean, the more sun you have, the more that these tires will wear and rubber right down into the racetrack. So it could be a problem before the day's over.
And this will change throughout the day as we get to caution flags and the cars go around slower. They actually pick that rubber up, and it won't be as bad right after a restart, but then it starts to build back up and becomes a problem throughout a run.
ABC Comedy Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. It's the return of a comedy icon. Kelsey Grammer goes from businessman to family man in ABC's Hank. Series premiere Wednesday at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on ABC Comedy Wednesday. Kurt Busch, our leader up front, he is trying to hold on. Now, he had a good finish here back in May, but he has not had very good luck here over the years at Dover, Delaware. We asked him about racing luck.
I heard luck defined years ago by Richard Childress, and it's always stuck in my mind that when preparation meets opportunity, that creates a little bit of luck. And you have to have lady luck in this deal if you're going to come out on top. You see it every year, and you just get into that groove, and things come your way when you least expect it. And so that's what you have to be ready for.
He finished 5th here back in May, but guys, he's finished 20th or worse here at Dover in 4 of the last 5 races.
Yeah, Robert Yates once told me when we were running, he said, you know, seems the harder we work, the luckier we get.
Yeah, you're right. I learned a lot about preparation at Richard Childress Racing, I can tell you that. That's one of the main things in his mind is having a car that's bulletproof. If you do that, opportunities will present themselves to get lucky.
This is race number 2 in the chase, and every position and every point is critical. Kurt Busch has already gained a couple of positions in the point standings, and you see where the 5 car is running Mark Martin, and you see the points differential. There is Kurt Busch, the leader, He is third in the point standings, only 30 points now between him and the leader, Mark Martin. Martin being shown back in fourth position on the racetrack. About a 3-second, little over a 3.3 second differential. Kurt Busch trying to hold on and finally get some good luck here at Dover International Speedway. He's our leader. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. We have had our fourth different lead change here at Dover International Speedway. Jimmie Johnson, the reigning and three-time champion, has now gone by the 2 car. We'll show you how it happened. Traffic was involved in a little bit.
See Kurt Busch go down into turn 3, and he'd been moving up. He thought Bobby Labonte was going to give him the outside, and Bobby actually slid right up in front. Jimmie Johnson took advantage of that.
'18 and 24 battling. Kyle Busch able to take a position. You heard Jeff Gordon talking about he was sideways and the car not handling well, and obviously he's gotten a little bit better. If something's happened, he's able to go back by the 18.
Yeah, a lot of times you start out and the car is not to your liking, really loose, and I think this racetrack is probably tightening up. And if he had a car that was loose, it probably is still turning as these other guys are sliding the front end some now. And that's working okay for Jeff at this point in time.
Let's take you up to speed, starting with Jeff Gordon, the 24 car. Dave.
And the man who earlier described his car as running on ice described it this way most recently.
My biggest problem is the entry. It just has no security at all. I'm turning right every time I go in the corner. Sample, we're going to get that track right down one more round the next stop.
Security at a track this tall is a big deal, and Jeff Gordon wants to get that next time he comes down pit road. Shannon?
And Kyle Busch on his last pit stop, he made an air pressure adjustment in the front. He's lacking overall grip. He wants to make an air pressure adjustment in all 4 tires. And Coach Gibbs just entered the pit box. He just made his way back from Joey Logano. He's got a lot on his plate, but right now focused on the 18, Dave.
Jamie, Greg Biffle has lost 6 positions since the restart. His car is very loose at the start. It gets a little bit tight off the corner near the end here. That's why Biffle is going backwards. Jamie?
And Jamie McMurray having a great run today. He qualified 25th. He's been running here solidly in the top 10. They actually didn't make any adjustments early on, but right now he's reporting that his tires feel like they just have too much air in them. Right behind him, Ryan Newman. He's had a solid run as well, but he just got extremely loose when this sun came out consistently. Last pit stop, they made an air pressure adjustment, wedge, track bar, everything to tighten him up, and it wasn't enough, guys.
So lots of concerns out there, guys. Loose race cars, sideways race cars. And a moment ago, the 77 car on pit road for an unscheduled stop, Sam Hornish. And now the 26 car, McMurray, coming down pit road.
Yeah, I hope he wasn't speeding coming in there because he really had the front tires locked up trying to get slowed down.
He was running in the 9th position. They're going to put 4 tires on his Ford.
This comes just a little bit early in this cycle of a green flag run. So he makes kind of a real quick move to the pits. So here he has to lock it up to keep from speeding. NASCAR said he was good.
It is hard because at this pit road speed line limit is right there where you come off of turn 4 at 170 miles an hour, and you got to get down to 35 miles an hour. So McMurray was not speeding. He gets the tire change and will get back on the racetrack. Sam Hornish also in just a moment ago for 4 tires on the 77 car. Jimmie Johnson is our leader. Kurt Busch, Juan Pablo Montoya, Mark Martin, and Casey Kane, the top 5. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
ESPN on ABC.
Back at Dover, Jimmie Johnson is our leader, and there is the 18 car on pit road. Damage on the right side. They certainly have had some tire issues.
And we see a lot of issues. People trying to get on pit road. Jeff Burton just missed pit road trying to get in. Caution is out.
There is fluid on the racetrack, we're being told, bringing out caution for the 4th time today. You see Kyle Busch coming down. Show you what happened to the 18 car just a moment ago. We've seen a number of guys come on and off pit road. The 88's been in, the 12. Now watch the 18 car, middle of the corner.
You can tell he loses the right front tire there. Thought he had an issue there because he was running slower, 3 or 4 tenths of a second. We saw a little bit of smoke where the splitter was bottoming out, like he might have been losing some air in that right front. And finally let go there.
Inside.
He was fortunate that was at the slowest part of the racetrack, right in the center of the corner where your car slowed down and did the least amount of damage for him.
You mentioned the 31 car missed pit road. He will get the free pass and get a lap back. The 00 also missed pit road a moment ago. David Rudeman. There is Jeff Burton, the winner here in this race 3 years ago. He'll be able to get a lap back and get back on the lead lap, which will put us now 20 cars on the lead lap. Just in front of him, Jimmie Johnson, our leader.
Yeah, it's a bad break for Junior. He had made a green flag pit stop, and he's showing a couple laps down now.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray, as we showed you, had been on pit road. He's 2 laps behind now. He'll probably stay out and get a wave around and get back to 1 lap down, but just unfortunate for those guys.
David Stremme had also come in just before the caution came out. Now he's being shown 3 laps down in that 12 car in 32nd position. Here come the leaders down at 35 miles an hour. Lap 164. Vince.
The 9 car of Casey Kane, he says it's hitting in the left front. They're going to put a Packer in there to give him a little bit more stability. Otherwise, the car is pretty good. Casey Kane had been moving to the front. Jamie.
Mark Martin said he starts loose, then it neutralizes, then it gets tight, so they're going to take a half round of the wedge out that they put in on the last stop. It's 4 tires. Shannon?
Kurt Busch says that number 2 car is very good. They're just going to make a slight air pressure adjustment to try to keep up with the track. 4 tires for the 2 car. Dave.
Jimmie Johnson was loose in at the beginning of the run, tied off at the end of the run. That'll be a track bar adjustment for him. He'll get 4 fresh tires as well. Slight air pressure adjustment at the same time for Jimmie Johnson. Let's see if they can win the race off the pit road. It's going to be tight. Who is it, Doc?
It looks like the 2 car beat him off, guys. It will be Kurt Busch. He will gain the spot. Jimmie Johnson losing it. Jeff Gordon up 1, Martin back. And Kenseth up a spot, putting himself in the top 10. So both the 48 car and the 5 car both saying they're loose early and tight late. There's how close it was with Kurt Busch, the Dodge, beating the Chevy of Jimmie Johnson off. Under caution for the 4th time a day here at Dover. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing here at Dover International Speedway, presented by Burger King, and it's race number 2 of the chase for the Sprint Cup. Let's review some of the pit stops. There's the 2 car that gained a position on pit road a moment ago.
See, they come in here for this 4-tire pit stop, and the right front tire changer has just a little trouble getting his gun back up, and you can see it cost him just a little bit of time. Amazing to me that he gained a spot on pit road, but we see the next pit stop here for Jimmie Johnson. You see right there, he just had a little trouble getting that gun up. And then Jimmie Johnson's pit stop. Yeah, it's pretty clean, really.
Yeah, off just a little bit. Looks like the rear guy was a little bit off right there. And then as he comes around to the left side, looks like he's going to be off just a little bit more. You'll see this front guy stand up a little bit right here.
Oh, boys, decent one, but just slow it down, be smooth. You guys are faster than everybody by a long shot. Nice and smooth.
The driver counseling the crew members about just being smooth and taking it easy and using the talents you've got. Restart. Kurt Busch, the leader. Jimmie Johnson second. Jeff Gordon is there. So is Juan Pablo Montoya. Mark Martin at the top of your screen. Casey Kane side by side as Kurt Busch now pulled by a couple of car lengths on Johnson.
Here comes Ryan Newman to the high side of Mark Martin.
Man, got a big run through the middle of the corner. Going to try to get the 9 car here.
Now, after that pit stop a moment ago, down in the 48 bunch there, Chad Canals went down to counsel the tire changer. What's he saying to him, Andy?
I just tell him just to, slow down, to go fast. We don't really need to do anything trick. We have a fast pit crew, and really didn't make a big mistake. It just lost a few tenths of a second, really.
Yeah, we're kind of splitting hairs there and making to see that there was a problem because they were still pretty fast.
You can see the comparison of the 2 pit stops, the 2 pit crews. Right there, the right side, you can see where Kurt Busch lost a little bit of time. Jacks were identical, and then you can see on the left side where Kurt Busch made up a ton of time. Dave?
And guys, Chad was working with the newest member of the crew. His name is Rich Macko. And he came to this crew just a few races ago when they lost their rear tire changer, Jeremy West, to an injury. So still working on getting him up to speed with this crew. He's done well the past 2 weeks. Chad told me that. But he definitely wants to make sure that he knows how Chad operates and what he expects out of him, but also how to encourage him after a situation like that.
Well, it's a high-pressure situation. These pit stops are. Every member of the team makes a difference.
And we'll see if Chad driver Jimmie Johnson can go get it back out there. Jimmie Johnson on the bottom of the racetrack couldn't hold the bottom, and now Kurt Busch pulls him again. We'll see if Johnson goes all the way down to the edge there, coming out of the corner to try to retake the lead.
These two cars have been very evenly matched through most of the race.
We're really seeing both grooves work. Actually, there's almost 3 grooves. You've got the bottom, the middle, and really up at the top. Here goes Mark Martin trying to take that spot back away from Kasey Kahne that he lost on the restart.
And you're also seeing on the left side of your screen that 17 car coming into the picture. Everyone in the garage thought he might be a factor today. I know the Roush Fenway guys have struggled the last 2 or 3 months, but he was the most consistent car, talking about Matt Kenseth, in the final practice session on Saturday.
You put that up with his pit crew doing a really good job. As you saw, they picked him up a spot on pit road on that last caution. And you have a good combination there. It looks like Matt has a really good car.
You see on the right side of your screen, the 2 and 48 cars are just so close. Jimmie Johnson not able to get by. Keeps working on him.
We see the 2 car running a higher line this time than what he was the last time. He'd been pretty much down close to the bottom for the first part of the run.
And now for the first time today, we're seeing Tony Stewart become a factor. It's the highest he's been all day. He's in 11th position and trying to move in on the top 10.
And Tony knows there's still over 200 laps to go if Jimmie Johnson does take the lead now from Kurt Busch.
And we heard Vince say,
new leader, 48.
we heard Vince say that Stewart was just kind of riding. He wasn't too worried. He was running about 21st or 20th spot there. Had a good car, wasn't too worried about it.
With Jimmie Johnson taking the lead on the racetrack, he also takes the lead right now in the chase standings. Take a look. He is now 5 points ahead of Mark Martin. And there they are, shuffling throughout the afternoon. Kurt Busch has gained a couple positions in the point standings, and so has the 39 car of Ryan Newman. We are less than 25 laps away from halfway. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Lots of motorsports coming up. How about some NHRA action? 7 o'clock Eastern time, the Fall Nationals final from the O'Reilly Superstart batteries on ESPN2. NASCAR Now will wrap up the entire weekend of motorsports. The nationwide race on Saturday, won by Clint Bowyer. And, of course, round 2 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Next week, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, 3 o'clock Eastern time, the live flag-to-flag coverage on ESPN2, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Kansas on ABC, 1 o'clock Eastern time, beginning with NASCAR Countdown. Jimmie Johnson showing the way here at Dover. He dominated back in the spring in May, led 298 laps thus far today. He has led 3 times for 57 laps. Kurt Busch has led the most laps today. He's led twice for 99. He is running in 2nd position. Jeff Gordon back in 3rd, Montoya 4th, Martin 5th, and Newman 6th. The top 6 cars are all chase drivers.
Let's look at the top 5 pit crews on pit road, the last stop under caution. Matt Kenseth with 13.1 leads them all off of there. You have to look quick.
We talked about how that 17 crew has always gotten it done on pit road. And I tell you what, as good as their pit stops are, Andy, and as good as that 17 cars running, he could be a factor.
They consistently have some of the fastest pit stops every day, every week. You know, the pit stops are so important now with the cars being so equal, and now the teams are actually so equal. You can see how the pit stop times were really close together.
Some plastic or debris there, DJ, on the left front there, right above the splitter on Jimmie Johnson's car.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to hinder. That's over towards the brake duct if it does anything.
It shouldn't hurt too much right there. That's one of those windshield tear-offs, a piece of one. It's caught that strut on the splitter.
You know, I do see more brake dust on the front tires as they change these
tires on pit stops than what you used to see here at Dover. With these cars, they're having to use a little more brake.
Okay, let's look at these top 5 pit stop times. Well, we can see it up on the screen. You can see Matt Kenseth was the fastest, and how competitive it is coming off pit road. Jeff Gordon with a 13.4. Those tenths of a second, so important down there.
Clint Bowyer was in that group. Remember, Bowyer had to go to the back of the field today because of an engine change. And he has driven that car from the back of the pack all the way into the top 10.
A little bit of debris on the nose, but I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Looks like Chad agrees with us, thinks it's not a problem.
Yeah, here's Clint Bowyer. After coming from the back, they made a 2-tire pit stop early on in that first competition yellow, got themselves track position, and key thing there is it kept him out of that crash, because he was behind a lot of those cars that got in that crash.
And he is indeed our biggest mover, Clint Bowyer, who won the nationwide race here yesterday. Dave.
DJ, I like the way you watch a race. Did you used to do this one time in your life?
Yeah.
Because after that red flag in the incident that Clint Bowyer avoided because they gave him 2 tires, he radioed back to his crew, "Thank you for putting 2 tires on this car." He knew that that was a huge deal, and on that round of pit stops, it took him from 28th racing position all the way up to 13th. And DJ, thanks for paying attention.
Bit of a struggle for the 83 car, guys. Brian Vickers back in 17th position. He just lost a spot a moment ago to Casey Mears in the 07.
Early on, Vickers looked like his car was pretty good. He got up on the high side and was being able to make some time, but that hasn't been the case over the last 2 runs.
Brian, who had so much consistency in terms of top 10 finishes to be able to get that car in the chase. 7 top 10s the last 10 races. And had a heck of a comeback in New Hampshire last week after losing 19 positions because of a lug nut issue on pit road. Able to come back and finish 11th. Here is our leader on the racetrack, and that is the 48 car of Jimmie Johnson. Right now he is tied in the point standings with the 5 car, his teammate Mark Martin. 5 laps away from halfway here at Dover. We are halfway home here in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series presented by Burger King at Dover International Speedway. Jimmie Johnson is our leader, Kurt Busch in second, and Jeff Gordon is third, Montoya fourth, and Mark Martin back in the 5th position.
We see Sam Hornish, he's fighting hard to try to stay 1 lap down. Jimmie Johnson now able to get underneath.
He's been able to do this for a couple of laps, but he hadn't been able to clear Sam Hornish right here.
Let's take a look at the top 10 speeds as they come across the line here and right by the start-finish line.
See, Kurt Busch was the fastest. Now Mark Martin, 5 car, showing up the fastest out of those cars. Casey Kane, 3rd quick.
There is the 10th place car of Greg Biffle. And let's take you up to speed 10th through 20, starting with Dave.
You know, the day didn't start bad for Greg Biffle. Crew Chief Greg Irwin told me that overnight they made very few changes and were confident that they would have a top 5 car that they could contend with. But right about lap 89's pit stop, they went the wrong way and have been fighting a car ever since. It's been loose in the middle and tied off. So for Biffle, it's a fight back toward the top 5. Jamie?
And behind him, A.J. Allmendinger in the 44. What a run he's having here in this last stint. Started 19th, and he came in. They only made an air pressure adjustment. That's all he's needed. His car has come to life. Hard to believe it's already his 6th start here, Vince.
Well, Tony Stewart is up now to 12th, and Stewart's car has been solid. He said, in fact, that it's better, not quite as tight off the turns as it was earlier, and that's the way Tony likes it. He likes to be able to run it down low and make his passes on the inside. So far, so good. Shannon?
Marcos Ambrose started this race 27th. He has slowly moved himself up into the top 15. Right now, that 47 car just needs overall grip. Ambrose is one of the drivers who competed in the tire test. He said the most valuable thing he gained from it was simply track time. This is his 3rd start at Dover, and this is the track that you need to be comfortable at. Jamie?
And Kevin Harvick brought a brand new car here. They qualified 20th. He said he's just been too tight on the last stop. They went up on the track bar, made an air pressure adjustment, and it didn't help. And the 18 hit the wall again, guys. He has been fighting no grip all day.
Yeah, he's bouncing off the wall again, and the caution will come out.
Oh, man, he's hitting it again.
Easy, bud. Easy, easy. Caution's out. Inside here. After the 19. Now.
So 3 different times the 18 car hit the wall, bounced off, tried to keep it away from the wall, and hit it twice more, and now is able to get it down pit road finally.
Yeah, that last time he hit it pretty hard. It's almost like the throttle hung.
He was in position to get his lap back on the free pass when the caution came out, but he didn't want to be the one bringing out the caution.
You can tell he's going to the garage area by putting the window net down. He's got his gloves off.
Looks like they may be able to get that car fixed. Not sure that'll thrill him.
Second time that he's had an issue with getting into the wall. I'll show you what happened this time.
Like the same thing as the last time. Like the right front went down.
Inside you here. And inside, inside. Clear low, caution's out. Caution's out. Easy, bud. Easy, easy. Caution's out. Inside here.
Kyle Busch climbing out in the garage area. He has had DNFs here in 2 of the last 3 fall races at Dover. Both those DNFs were associated with engine issues. He has had contact with the wall today. So down to the pits, Vince.
Casey Kane says the car is way too loose. He is hitting the splitter hard, crazy hard. In fact, as he described it, they're putting a packer in the right front and going a half round down on the track bar. Shannon?
It was an early 2-tire change that got Kurt Busch to track position, and he has kept it. Right now, the car is just a little bit too tight. Air pressure and track bar. Dave?
For Jeff Gordon, much better, tight behind other cars. No changes for him. Leader Jimmy Johnson, bottom of your screen. Wedge adjustment for him, 4-tire change. Entry much better for Johnson that time. Little tight off. That's why the adjustment. We'll see who wins the race off pit road. This time, it'll be Jimmy Johnson.
This time, Jimmy Johnson.
Nice work, fellas.
And you heard it yourselves. Nice, smooth work by the 48 crew. And Jeff Gordon gaining a spot in second spot. Kurt Busch loses a spot. Up 2 for Clint Boyer, and up 3 for Tony Stewart now for the first time a day. The 2-time champion, 2-time winner here, moving that 14 car in to the top 10. We are working caution for the 5th time a day. 200 laps are complete of 400 here at Dover.
It has been an action-packed day at the Monster Mile so far.
Sometimes it's green flags, other times it kicks my ass. A half full, half empty glass, don't matter either way.
Certainly the highlight of the day, at least visually, the crash for Joey Logano back at lap 32 that saw his car somersault 8 times in turns 3 and 4 of this Monster Mile. Fortunately, the 19-year-old climbing out of that car and okay, though his is one of a number of cars that are out of this race. Attrition has been somewhat heavy here at Dover. The fight for the lead, well, it's pretty much for the last stretch of the day been a 2-man race between Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Now, after a set of pit stops, Jeff Gordon is between them as we get set for the restart with what will be 189 laps to go. Dr. Punch.
Thank you, Alan. A couple of teammates who are both 4-time winners here at Dover. Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon will line up side by side. Johnson has now led 81 laps. Jeff Gordon is yet to lead a lap today. Neither has Mark Martin or Montoya, who are back in 4th and 5th spot. Jeff Gordon trying to hang on to the bottom of the racetrack and see if he can get by and get those bonus points. It would be critical for Jeff to be able to lead a lap. Behind him, they are still 2 by 2. The 2 car underneath the 5 of Martin.
Yeah, Mark was really trying to get down and cleared in front of the 2, but wasn't able to do that as they got down to turn 1. So he's going to lose that spot and possibly more. See Montoya now trying to take that spot away from Mark Martin.
Matt Kenseth is there in the 17 car. The 44 car is there. A.J. Allmendinger, the 33 from the back of the pack. Clint Boyer.
Here comes Tony Stewart, that 14 car. He's just lurking right behind these guys.
Finally in the top 10 here for the first time today after being involved in that incident and having to have some repair back on lap 32.
You can see right behind Tony is Marcus Ambrose, having a really good run here today. He's in that 11th spot as we ride along with him out of turn 2.
Getting a little pressure from Casey Kane. Ambrose is.
There's the 99 car of Carl Edwards, who just got passed by his teammate in the 16 car, Greg Biffle. That's for 15th position.
Yeah, certainly not what Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle had in mind when they came to a racetrack that's been really good to them over the years.
Getting a little bit of cloud cover over the racetrack right now. See, it's shaded. Could change the track conditions some.
The 83 and 11, and trying to get by the 31 on the outside. That is for position. That's 18th, 19th, and 20th. 98 car is there. That is Paul Menard. He's in 17th position. We mentioned the 31 car of Jeff Burton is there. 77 car had come on pit road and made an unscheduled stop when then the caution came out. So Sam Hornick's being shown 2 laps down in 24th position.
Yeah, and Sam Hornick is going to run more miles than anybody else here today because he's running as higher, a lane higher than anybody else on this racetrack.
I thought he was going to Wilmington, Delaware that last lap. Making it work pretty well, though.
See Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming into your picture there. He started 24th today. His number 88 car being shown 22nd. Now he is the first car a lap down as we have 21 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, he made that unscheduled green flag stop, and the caution came out just after the stop, so he's trying to work his way back into contention. Another caution flag will put him back on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's one of those times as a driver you're sitting there trying to decide if you want to say, man, I'd like to see a caution, because most of the time if you ask for one of those, you might be involved in it, so you're a little hesitant to do that. But that would benefit Junior right now, certainly.
And you're trying to move up, and he would be in position, as we said, to get that lap back. But he's trying to move up on the racetrack as he eases in on the 11 car. Up front, Jimmie Johnson as our leader. He has pulled away to about a 1.1 second margin over the 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Kurt Busch is there, Montoya, Martin Kenseth, and there's the 33 car of Clint Bowyer in 7th spot. Dave.
And Doctor, talking to Clint Bowyer just before the race started today, he told me he thought they could drive from the back, but he figured it would be a lot of work. Listen to his radio just recently.
Should be farther along, and then, maybe it's a damn workout, I'm telling you. Oh.
I was going to ask you if you just get tired.
Maybe it'll be a little bit tighter. Working my ass off in here. Had 4 on working hard in there. We appreciate you.
Driving hard at this racetrack, and DJ, can you tell us what it's like to handle a loose race car around Dover all day?
I don't know if I can give it a good enough explanation, but I can tell you it is a workout, just like Clint Bowyer said. This is a tough racetrack physically, and when your car is on the edge, you have a little bit tighter grip on the steering wheel. You're having to be able to catch this thing at any moment. So he's doing a great job, but it will wear you out physically and mentally throughout 400 miles here today.
And it used to be 500 miles before they dropped it down to 400 in the late 90s.
Yeah, or 24 hours, whichever came first.
There is Ryan Newman back behind the 33 car. Ryan Newman back in 8th position. Behind him will be the 44 of A.J. Allmendinger. We mentioned Allmendinger. He was one of the drivers that actually did the tire test here. And it's just amazing how coming here and testing this tire and getting some extra track time can make a difference for a driver.
Especially when you have no testing this day and time. You know, those tire tests are very important.
Well, that's the key thing. I mean, you don't run the tire necessarily that they bring back, but just getting laps on the racetrack with the rules the way they are, testing at any of the tracks we race on, just getting laps on the racetrack is going to be a benefit.
Yeah, especially for a young driver that doesn't have a lot of those laps, just like you said, Andy.
Allmendinger and Marcus Ambrose were the 2 guys who ran the tire test for the Toyota camp, and both of those guys are running in the top 11. Here's a guy that was the Chevy test driver, the 48 car, Jimmie Johnson, as if he needed a little more help here at Dover, Delaware. He is our leader and has now led 3 times for 95 laps. Back to Dover after this message and a word from our ABC station. Three-time reigning champion Jimmie Johnson is on cruise right now here at Dover, Delaware. He has led 3 times for 102 laps. The good news for Jimmie Johnson is he has led the most laps now in the race. The bad news, folks, for you Jimmie Johnson fans, the last 3 times this year he has led the most laps at Michigan in June and August, and in New Hampshire he did not win the race. Like the last time he led the most laps and won the race was right here back in May.
I bet he figures they're going to get it right here eventually, though. That'd be the way he would look at it.
And it was actually this car here at Michigan that he led 133 laps in, but remember what happened there. He ran out of gas in the final laps.
It might take that to keep him from going to victory lane today, something like that, because this baby is flying right now. 2.6 second lead he has over Jeff Gordon.
There's his teammate Jeff Gordon, who has yet to lead a lap today. Right now, Jimmie Johnson would be the points leader by 5 points over his teammate Mark Martin, who was the points leader coming into the day. See Jeff Gordon now climbing back up after dropping back 4 positions last week with a disappointing 15th place finish at New Hampshire.
See Casey Kane still down in 12th. It's going to take him a while to overcome that blown engine last week.
Tony Stewart lost 4 spots last week, went from 2nd to 6th, and has now lost 2 more positions as of right now. Of course, this race is not ending now. We've still got plenty of laps to go, 166 to be exact, before they wave the checkered flag.
And talk about Casey Kane, he's going to have to do better than running 12th, especially when you have the top 5 all being chase guys. So you're not going to make up points like that. You have to get it going.
Right now, there are 21 cars on the lead lap. The first car lap down would be Dale Earnhardt Jr., so if we were to get a caution flag, he would be able to get back on the lead lap. There's a differential of 2.5 seconds between Jimmie Johnson and Jeff Gordon. And you see there comes the 12th place car of Casey Kane. Now, a week ago, Casey Kane was at New Hampshire on a lap 66. They erupted an engine. They broke a crank there, so he finished 38th. And he slid all the way back to 12th, the final spot. Lost 7 positions in the point standings for the chase. Now, folks, it has been done in the past. In the 2006 chase, Jimmie Johnson finished 39th in the first race and didn't have a top 10 finish until race number 5, and still came back and won the championship. But it is still right now an uphill battle for this 9 team. Vince.
Well, and Casey said as much this week, saying that they know they're in a hole, but what do? You just got to come out every week. It's a different week. It's a different race. It's a different challenge. You got to give it your best. And he believes that everybody from top to bottom that comes to the racetrack every weekend does that. They had a really good car through about the first third of this race, but around the halfway point, it became much more difficult to handle, much too loose for his liking, and Casey doesn't quite have the car he had earlier in the race, and that's why we're not seeing him in the top 5 like we did earlier.
Right behind him, thank you, Vince, is the 29 and the 07, a couple of teammates, and they're running 13th and 14th, Kevin Harvick and Casey Mears. It was announced this week, by the way, the sponsor going away from the 07 for next year, and a lot of speculation about whether that car will return. I know Richard Childress is wanting to keep a 4-car team and working hard on replacing that sponsorship.
Yeah, he would like to make that happen. He's working hard to do that, and for sponsorship, difficult to come by, but it is a much better day for Richard Childress Racing today. They have all 4 cars in the top 19. The top 19 is Jeff Burton's in that 19th spot right now, so looks like they getting the car, the competition side of it, much better than what they were earlier in the year.
And a couple of the Roush Fenway teammates. These are the 2 guys that are actually in the chase. Biffle and Edwards running in 15th and 16th position.
Yeah, but Biffle's not as good as he was earlier. We saw him in the top 5 early in the race, and he's kind of just slipped back as we go here. And we have got some, like I said, some cloud cover that came over earlier. I don't know if that's changed the track and kind of gone away from them or not, but see over there to your right, Kyle Busch walking away from his car, or actually walking towards his car. They're trying to fix it from that crash when they blew that right front tire.
Had a couple of different crashes. The latest involved 3 impacts with the wall, and they're trying to get it repaired and get him back on the racetrack. Let's update the 18. Jamie.
Well, Kyle Busch complained the entire race that he was lacking grip overall. That's what led to him hitting the wall not once, but 2 to 4 times. Now Kyle has come back out. He talked to Steve Addington. They said there's no suspension damage. Car should be good as he waits a couple more moments to head back out.
He is not in the chase, Jamie, but he was 13th in the point standings coming into this race. He has now lost a spot back to 14th as the 17 car of Matt Kenseth on the racetrack, now running in 6th spot, has moved ahead of him. Jimmie Johnson working some traffic there. McMurray on the bottom of the track, and David Reagan up high.
The Roush teammates, they're kind of blocking the way. Jimmy threads the needle, though.
Yeah, he's so fast, they're not going to hold him up for long because he can really put this car about anywhere that he needs to.
Jamie McMurray had been on and off pit road. He had a problem, I think, with the rear sway bar. He now is showing 4 laps down in 29th. He had been running in the top 12. Talk about the strength of a team and how this Hendrick organization has been so good over the years. Their cars are 1st, 2nd, 5th, and of course Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 22nd, a lap down.
And for some reason, they're not able to keep pace with the other 3 teammates. They've made a lot of changes on this team and tried to get this car better and better. And at times, you think they've made some headway. Last week was a good race for them. Got taken out in a wreck. They're just having a average day today.
Yeah, I think Junior's car is better than a 22nd place car, but because of losing those laps on pit road. Now, he's not, probably somewhere between 12th and 15th was about as good as what we were seeing, but has made improvements, but not to the caliber of what we see with Jimmie Johnson.
Junior is still in that lucky dog position. Should we get a caution?
Jeff Gordon now trying to move down below Elliott Sadler. Elliott coming off that good top 10 finish at New Hampshire, but he had to start at the back of the pack as well with engine change. He broke a crank in qualifying.
Still 2.5 seconds behind his teammate Jimmie Johnson. See that sun coming back out now.
So the sun emerges, and now the track will be changing again, but they're all still chasing that 48 car of Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson currently leading the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here, presented by Burger King at Dover International Speedway. And just a moment ago, Jimmie Johnson put the 11 car of Denny Hamlin a lap down. Let's go in and check on the 11 car with Dave.
And Doc, the 20th position where Denny Hamlin is running is still better than he's finished the last 4 races here, but they have struggled with that car today. It was plowing midway through the race, and so they took what they called a big swing at the car. The last pit stop, they put the track bar down and removed spring rubbers from both rear springs, and they fixed the type problem. It is now extremely loose, and unfortunately it is slow, and Jimmie Johnson is very fast, so he's off the lead lap, struggling, just hovering around the top 20.
Wow, DJ, he'd come in here with so much momentum coming off the win at Richmond, the 2nd place finish at New Hampshire, and 7 consecutive top 10 finishes coming to a track that he said he really has a problem at.
Yeah, he came in with momentum, but a lot of trepidation also, because he just said this has been their nemesis over the last few years. They just can't get a good finish, even when they have a good car. And today, they obviously are struggling with their setup.
Still working on the 18 car of Kyle Busch, who's been in the garage area after having contact with the wall.
Got Jamie McMurray and Reed Sorensen on pit road.
We're hearing a tire rub was on the 43 car, who had been involved in an incident back on lap 32.
26 has been one of the first cars on the pit road throughout the day. I don't know if they're having some type of issue with fuel or if it's a tire situation that Jamie starts feeling something and gets to pit road.
Andy, we're hearing the leaders, this guy and others up front should be coming in around lap 290. But in a 400-lap race, that's still going to give them one more stop, right?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be at least one more after this one. Actually, maybe 2 more. Depends on how this thing works out as far as caution flags.
We talk about how good Jimmie Johnson has been in the last 3 years in the chase. He is the only driver who can make NASCAR history this year by winning 4 consecutive championships. We talk about former champions, the 14 now. Tony Stewart, the 2-time champion, on the move, starting to pick up some positions.
I really like the way he's been doing this. He's been really just kind of easing around there, not really making any big, bold moves. And, yeah, you turn around and he's gained 2 more spots. Vince?
That's exactly right, Andy. Just been very patient, and on the radio, not really saying much. He said the car was pretty good. It's a little bit tight if there's any complaint at all. But otherwise, he feels like the car's good. They know it's a long race. He's just slowly been making his way toward the front. You know, when I visited with Darian Grubb before the race today, he was very confident that they had a car that could be a contender. Not done yet with the 14.
Tell you what, dangerous combination. You put a good race driver using his head
they can make a lot of good things happen. But you know, we talk about he's been riding around here. He's been a little bit aggressive. I was watching a while ago going down the front straightaway. You can see he runs up on him. He's been trying to pass him for a few laps, but I think he's going to let 44 know that he's ready to go forward. So he gives AJ a little bit of a shot. And the inside.
I've already got damage on the nose. I'll just use it up a little more here.
Time to go. His patience wearing thin a little bit there. Smoke. And you talk about being a smart race car driver. He knows that he's not going to push his equipment here. But last 100 laps is going to get pretty exciting here. I think he'll be able to make a move. And ironically, though, since his last win at Watkins Glen, Tony Stewart has not had a top 10 finish. 5 races in a row, which ties a career record for him without finishing in the top 10.
You see Clint Boyer is back in moving out there, getting a little loose, and Stewart able to close right up to him.
Yeah, and I always thought as a driver here, I was in good shape, and as you get down after halfway of this race and get into those last 100 miles of this race, some other guys aren't really wanting to be here. That's when you could really take advantage of a situation like that, and I think Tony Stewart's a lot like that.
9 car, Casey Kane trying to take the 9th spot away from Ryan Newman, and Ryan doesn't want to give it up. Both these drivers in the chase, and the 39 car has lost a position. Newman was 7th in the points coming in. Right now he's 8th, and of course the 9 car of Casey Kane desperately needed to getting as many points as possible after that disappointing finish last week.
Got that 18 car patch back up. Now he's back out with Kyle Busch. Casey's saying, give me a little room here. I need to make this pass. I know you got fresh tires back there, but just give me a second. I'll be out of your way.
Been watching these guys. They're really having to dodge these blacker spots on the racetracks where this rubber buildup is, and so they're having to kind of really dodge those, and so it's making it a little more difficult for them to make the pass.
Now Kyle Busch able to go on the inside and get by there. DJ, how tough is it for someone like Kyle to get back in a car that's been that heavily damaged and you've already hit 2 or 3 times here?
You know, it's part of your job. That's what you do. Is what you sign up for. You know, every day can't be the best, but it is difficult. He's outside the chase. They've had problems with either the tires blowing out or something rubbing to create a problem like that. So he really doesn't want to be there, but yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to get out there and make the most points that you possibly can.
Jimmie Johnson, our leader, and he is starting to put more and more cars a lap down. He's moving in back in on the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And not far in front of him is the 83 car, one of our chase contenders. There is the 83 car of Brian Vickers. 132 laps to go here at Dover, Delaware. We have had 6 lead changes among 4 different drivers. Jimmie Johnson trying to become the 10th driver to sweep both events here at Dover. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Under caution once again here at Dover, Delaware. There's a 12 car that has come into contact with the wall, just body slammed the right side of that car, David Stremme. And the big beneficiary of this caution flag will be the 83 car of Brian Vickers, who will get the free pass and be able to get back on the lead lap. Show you again the contact with David Stremme a moment ago, which brought out this yellow flag.
See, he'd been running at Highland, but his car got loose. You can see chase it up there. Pretty hard hit. Probably pretty good bit of damage. See him working on the right front.
Got the remnants of a brake duct he's trying to pull out of there.
Leaders should be on pit road here. They'll still have to make probably 2 more stops.
Yeah, they'll definitely have to make this stop and 1 more. It's going to be almost impossible for them to make it on 1 more stop, even if this caution didn't come out, but this changes it up a little bit.
Pit road is open. See the green flag waving. Jimmie Johnson will come down and lead the others. There's Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, Montoya, Martin as they head down for their next stop. Vince Welch.
Doc, you mentioned earlier Tony Stewart with 5 straight finishes of 10th or worse, and they feel like they've had some good cars, just some bad breaks. They've got another good car today, and indicative of that, no changes with this car, just 4 tires and fuel for Tony Stewart. Shannon?
Vince, as the track is rubbered up, the handling of this number 2 car for Kurt Busch has really gone the wrong way. So they're going to make a track bar and an air pressure adjustment for Kurt Busch. 4 tires. Dave?
Second place, Jeff Gordon debated with his crew chief what to do. They were thinking nothing. The car didn't tighten up too much, just a little bit loose off. For Jimmy Johnson, the leader, he comes down pit road. He will get a chassis adjustment. His car just a little bit loose in the center, and he asked his crew to go 9/10, did crew chief Chad Knaus. Slow down to go fast, and they win the race off pit road.
So Jimmy Johnson will retain the lead. Jeff Gordon coming off in second. Basically the way they came on pit road. Kurt Busch is third. Montoya fourth. As we are under caution now for the 6th time today. Back at Dover International Speedway, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series action presented by Burger King. It is race number 2 of 10 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. We told you at the top of the show that the driver who has won this race every fall since the chase began has not gone on to win the championship.
So what do you think? Think Jimmy ought to just pull over?
Well, I'm just telling you that's what history that's what history says.
These guys view that as the opportunity to be the first one to win Dover and go on to win the championship, rather than taking that stat and putting it in a negative way.
And oh, by the way, the guy who is the points leader leaving here has also never won it. There's the 2 car. We told you that Kurt Busch gets very excited and very animated in the car because he is a very intense competitor. Now, he's been pretty calm throughout much of the race. But now the car is struggling a bit, and he's getting a little fired up in the seat.
Our teammates took air out of the right rear this run, and both got looser, so we're thinking about putting some air in the right rear and taking some out of the right front. I don't know, man. This is our weak spot. It's the most frustrating thing. It's where we always need to dial ourselves out. Track gets rubbered in. We start fading.
It is about making the right adjustments. You know, I think that's where Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus really a lot of times have these guys beat. But, you know, Kurt is running third, so it's not like they've dialed themselves out of the race really here yet.
We'll see what's going to happen right now. He is sitting in the 3rd position. Montoya beside him in 4th. Getting set for the restart here in the AAA 400 at Dover.
Montoya giving Jimmy Johnson a little push. He's ready to go.
Matt Kenseth. Now Montoya backs up a little bit, gets a little squiggly there coming out of the corner, and Kenseth has to back off.
Everybody's a little bit squirrely off turn 2. Montoya gets a good run, though. Running third, trying to hold off Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth, though, it's getting tight.
Yeah, this rubber buildup's really creating problems for these guys, especially when you're in a pack like this. It's hard to really see that. So as a driver, you know where it's at, but you don't know exactly if you're driving over it or around it in some of these cases. Here goes Tony Stewart.
Tony Stewart getting a run underneath that 2 car, trying to on the bottom of the racetrack.
One thing I'm seeing, this rubber buildup after a caution flag, it looks like the cars will pick it back up and kind of pull it off the racetrack, and you see pieces of rubber flying on these restarts. So I think they're just struggling for grip those first few laps.
So Tony Stewart is 6th. Right behind him is Mark Martin, and Bowyer behind him. That is 6th, 7th, and 8th. Casey Kane behind Bowyer in 9th spot. Casey Mears in the 07. There's a 29. They're 14th, 15th, and 16th. The 99 is Edwards. Starting to get go time here, DJ. Moving in on 100 laps to go here, 100 miles to go at Dover, Delaware.
That was probably the last opportunity to make a major adjustment. As you see, Casey Mears trying to make the pass on Marcos Ambrose here. But they know it's getting down to that time. And these guys on fresh tires, especially the ones that cars may fade a little bit, know that right now on these restarts is a time they can make up a few positions.
Ambrose is 13th. Mears is 14th. There's Kevin Harvick back in 15th.
Been a good day for Marcos Ambrose. He's been very solid throughout the day. Been in the top 15 pretty much all day long.
Marcus spent all week in the race car. He was at Daytona tire testing for next year's Daytona 500. Only had about a half a day at home, and then comes here and gets in the car for the rest of the weekend.
It's fighting hard to hold this spot. Working that upper groove.
Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle now trying to move in on the 9 car for 9th spot.
Yeah, certainly Biffle would like to think that they could get that car adjusted a little bit better.
A little fuel coming out of that 47 right there. Like he may have got out of shape.
He's really working hard to hold this spot.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's working hard.
Casey Mears is tough on the bottom of this racetrack to get the drive up off the corner that you need, because you really need all of the racetrack to make that pass.
Hard to believe this is just the first full year for Marcos Ambrose in a NASCAR Sprint Cup car.
He has made a lot of headway in just one full season with all these veteran drivers. Looks like Casey Mears is going to get that spot.
Show you the contact a moment ago with the 07 and the 47.
Yeah, you can see Marcus comes down across the track a little bit. Casey had that spot covered, just a little bit of contact, but no harm done.
And you see that fuel coming out the overflow. That's because the fuel cell and fuel tank is completely full, and when he did that rocking move back and forth, it kind of purges a little bit of fuel.
Let's update the 47. Shannon.
Well, Marcos Ambrose has been struggling with grip all day, but you wouldn't be able to tell by his run. I mean, he's been hanging in the top 15 all day long. Like I said, he was one of the drivers competing in that tire test. Just some extra laps has really helped him out. After all, this is only his 3rd start here at Dover. But, you know, this track is compared to Bristol, and Marcos had a great run at Bristol earlier this season.
Yeah, he finished 3rd at Bristol. He ran in the top 5. What impressed me most, he ran in the top 5 all night at Bristol, Tennessee. Didn't look into that 3rd place finish at all. He was a very competitive car. Here comes Biffle. Remember, his last win came in this race a year ago, 35 races ago. Now he is trying to start moving in and taking positions away. He wants the 10th spot that Casey Kane has.
It looks like maybe they finally made some adjustments that are to Greg's liking, because they've been going the wrong way a lot.
Man, look at Allmendinger. Big run on these boys.
Yeah, as they're racing side by side, it allows that car, and AJ drove it down in pretty far, able to run up on them, but see Biffle not able to make that pass on the inside yet.
Biffle came into this race 9th in the point standings after that top 10 finish at New Hampshire last week, and he has held that position right now in the points.
Very solid, but we've talked before, when these drivers get to their favorite racetrack and where they normally do well at, they need to capitalize on those days and make the most of those points-wise. Whenever you come to a place that you normally do well and you struggle to run in the top 10, then that can take the team down a little bit, because you realize that there are going to be days when you're not so good.
You know, Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards both said because they like this track so much, this is a track where the driver, the driver, can make a difference. I mean, is this really a driver's type track?
There's no doubt this is a driver's track. You have to be on your game right here, ready to hang it out, and to go fast here. I mean, it's an exciting lap, even in race trim like this right here. So, yes, you can make a big difference as a driver. You have to have a car. We've seen as these guys get off a little bit, their car goes backwards, but the driver can make a big part and has a big hand in how well you do. See Mark Martin going by Tony Stewart for that 6th spot.
Mark Martin back on his way toward the front. He has not led a lap today. Neither has Tony Stewart. In fact, this is the highest. Tony had actually been up in the top 5 once before, but now Martin moving back toward the top 5.
Yeah, Mark's car still a little bit of a struggle on the restarts, but man, after about 15 laps, it looks like it really comes on.
Well, the other thing is he probably looked at his watch and says, we're getting close to 100 laps to go, boys. Time to pick it up.
We talk about Mark being 50 years of age and the oldest driver ever to make the chase. And Harry Gant won this race twice at the age of 51 and 52, so it's been done by an older man.
I would be surprised to see Mark break that record, though. He's probably going to race another 10 years.
We can only hope. Currently showing 17 cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson is our leader, and Johnson has led 3 times today for 164 laps. In the 2nd spot, there's a 24 car of Jeff Gordon. Let's check in with his crew chief, Steve Letarte. Dave.
Jeff Gordon's teammate setting the standard
and even the crew chiefs get the sponsor pops in.
Doing a good job there. Yeah, this has been a good solid day for Jeff Gordon. It's something he needed after last week. A little bit of a disappointment for them in that first race. They thought they at least had a top 5 car last week and weren't able to bring it home in the top 10. So he needed to rebound, and they're doing that very well here.
Well, I got to say they've done a good job all weekend. Their practice session, even happy hour, was not great until right at the very end. They just kept working on this car, kept working on it. And then overnight, they probably shared some notes and got this car very, very competitive today. And it's a testament to how well these teams work together.
I'll tell you right now, don't put it past Jeff Gordon to not be showing Jimmy Johnson everything he's got right now. They still have to make one more pit stop. He doesn't want Jimmy Johnson to think he needs to work on his race car.
Oh, they wouldn't do that, would they, DJ?
Yeah, it's been done to me before. I'm speaking from experience.
Looks like Mark Martin's going to work on Kurt Busch right here.
Another Hendrick car, a 5 of Mark Martin, and you heard what Kurt Busch had to say about what was going on with his car and how it was becoming a handful here in the final laps.
Yeah, let's talk about a handful. Kurt Busch has got a handful of that too, car.
This racefront's going to turn. Just one day, it'll turn. One day. Chris, we're going backwards.
Mark Martin goes all the way downstairs and takes that spot away.
Sounds like Kurt Busch is not happy with his car at this point.
In front of the 5 car will be the 17 car of Matt Kenseth, and we talk about teams that have struggled this year. Kenseth would be at or near the top of the list after winning the first 2 races of the year. That 17 car finished dead last at Las Vegas, 43rd, and things started to go downhill. Then they missed the chase for the first time in his career. Jamie.
It's been a tough couple of months for this team, no doubt. Drew Blickensderfer, his crew chief, told me this morning, though, because they're not in the chase, they can gamble a little bit. They're on a completely different setup than the other Roush Fenway drivers, and he said, this is the best car we have had in 3 months. This car just continues to get better with the cloud cover now. They made an air pressure adjustment. It's turning a little bit better, Don.
Certainly the best performance this team has had in quite a while. Of course, a year ago in this race, it was a 1-2-3 sweep for Roush Fenway, with Biffle winning it and Kenseth finishing second and Edwards finishing third.
Yeah, here's still that battle between Ryan Newman and Casey Kane and Greg Biffle, and been watching this quite a bit. And Biffle runs right up to Casey Kane, can even get to the inside as we saw a while ago. But every time he does, it looks like maybe he gets loose out of the corner, and then he'll drop back 4 or 5 car lengths. But he's done this about 3 times to make that pass and keep that speed up.
He has Casey Mears bearing down on him now, so he's going to have to deal with that in just a few laps. Casey Mears having a great run today.
Well, they run over 300 laps, and they're still running almost 170 miles an hour going into the corner.
It's a racetrack that the lap times just don't fall off that much. You just have to hustle the car the entire time, and that's why Greg Biffle's been so good here over the years, because he's able to do that. That's the way he drives, lap after lap, and it really suits his driving style. But he can't hustle this thing by the 9 of Casey King right now.
Jimmy Johnson, our leader, will coming down behind the 82 car of Scott Speed. We'll give you some speeds at the line here as they come by.
Yeah, let's see if anybody's faster than Jimmy Johnson here. Well, Jeff Gordon is. And Montoya the fastest there.
I think every time we catch Jimmy Johnson do this, though, we catch him behind a lap car. So that's the only thing slowing him down.
Hey, check out Casey Mears there in 12th spot, second fastest lap. Told you he was coming.
You're right. Car looks really good for Casey Mears today.
Could see a replay of what happened in the final laps in New Hampshire. That 42 car is no slouch at Juan Pablo Montoya. There's the 07 you mentioned, Casey Mears.
He's tracking down Greg Biffle.
This is the same car, by the way, they ran at Michigan when they had their best finish of the year, 6, just about a month or so ago.
And I'd keep running that baby. Getting the job done today.
Yeah. Here comes Biffle trying to close in on Casey Kane again. It might be when he gets there and that he loses that air that he's needing to the front of his car to make it work like he really wants to. Again, we have speeds over 170 miles an hour, so it can't really affect it a lot. On your left side of your screen here is Mark Martin trying to take over the 4th spot from Matt Kenseth. I'm pretty sure Matt's going to let him go.
Yeah, these two drivers work very well together, and I'm sure if Matt was faster than Mark, Mark would pull right over and let him go. No reason to hold each other up at this point.
And when a guy runs you down from about 1/4 of a straightaway behind, you know he's faster. So let's either
not slow him down here or see what he's doing that maybe can help you. Sometimes you can learn from another guy.
Now, if it gets down to the last 20, 25 laps, you're not going to do that. You're going to race him hard for it.
With that pass, we'll take a look at Jimmie Johnson and Mark Martin are now deadlocked atop the point standings there. Montoya 50 points back in third position. So the top 4 cars are all Chevrolets, and 3 of those top 4 are Hendrick Chevrolets. Juan Pablo Montoya, the Earnhardt Ganassi car, in third position. So Mark Martin trying to reel in the 42 car of Montoya, who's in third position. Let's talk with the crew chief for the 42, Brian Patty.
Well, Brian, it looks like it takes your car about 25 laps to come in. I know you guys have been talking about consistent runs. Are you going to be happy with third? Or are you guys going for the win here today?
We stopped going for third 3 races ago. We're going to go for the win here. The car's really good here. It's not one of our better racetracks, but JPM's doing an excellent job today.
All right, you heard them, guys. They're going to go for the win.
And this team has come so far. If we just joined our coverage, we'll tell you that in 5 previous starts here, Juan Pablo Montoya has never even finished on the lead lap at Dover, Delaware. They brought a brand new car here. He was a part of the tire test up here, and they have dialed this new car in, and it has been fast all day long.
I love Brian Patty's response right there. We quit going for third 2 races ago. When this chase started, we're going for wins, and that's the only thing that they're going to be satisfied with. And, man, I'm telling you, I'm just so impressed with how fast they've been.
Well, it's obvious to everybody watching that they turned Juan Pablo Montoya loose last week at New Hampshire. And we talked to Juan Pablo Montoya about pressures here in this sport.
We're probably the team with the least pressure on. I think people don't really expect us to do too much. I think, you know what I mean? And I think that it really can play into our hands. But at the same time, I think we just keep building better cars. You know, we keep finding things to make the cars faster, and as long as we keep doing that, we're gonna keep raising our game, and it's gonna get to a point that the car to beat is gonna be us.
Brand new car they brought here, and you talk about new cars and the chemistry they have. We showed you in NASCAR Countdown the great relationship that he and the crew chief you just heard from a moment ago, Brian Patty, had. And when you got all that going, only way to go is forward, because this team is getting better and better week after week.
A lot less pressure when you have as much talent as he has, too, so it kind of helps things.
Starting to bunch up a little bit more here now. The 9 car moving in on the 39 car of Newman. That's for 9th position, and Biffle still hanging right there.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we've seen from Ryan Newman as the laps have gone on throughout a run. His car seems to fall off a little bit. Now, Casey Kahne's caught him in trying to make that pass.
Wow, that 07 got big time loose off the corner.
See, Casey's trying to make the high side work and go around Ryan Newman on the top side. Not able to make it right here. I believe if he keeps working that, though, Ryan's not going to put up too much of a fight.
Uh-oh, Casey got bottled up a little bit behind the lap car there.
John Andretti car up high, so they're able to go down. He's still able to hold off the 16 of Biffle. And inching in closer behind this bunch is the 07 of Casey Mears. There's the 07 who's now moved in on him just about a 7 or 8 car lengths back.
Well, he caught that group, and then it seemed like either he got loose or maybe, like you say, it seemed like it's an arrow thing. They've all gotten bunched up, and they can't pass each other. Man, I cannot believe this. There's Denny Hamlin going down another lap. 2 laps down now.
Denny wasn't very happy in his comments on Friday about this tire that was brought here. I think what I took from his comments were they've worked really hard to make their cars turn with the less stagger, and this tire has more stagger than to help other teams maybe with that situation, and it wasn't a situation that Denny particularly liked the way that it felt with him, and obviously is showing up here today.
Again, his only DNF of the year came at this track back in May, and the last 4 times he has come here, he has finished 36th or worse. So, quite honestly, a top 20 finish might be a good one to walk away with after his history here in the recent years.
Still not going to be good for his championship drive here with just 10 races in the chase. You can't afford really to have a bad race.
Hamlin now being shown 2 laps down in the 20th position. There's Jeff Gordon in 2nd spot, and he is a little over 2 seconds behind his teammate Jimmie Johnson.
Yeah, still very solid. This car's running about the same lap times. But here, back to Kasey Kahne, still trying to get around Ryan Newman. Normally we'd see Kasey Kahne being one of those guys that'd be on the very top of the racetrack, but he's really wanting to run the bottom and get by Ryan Newman because that's where his car seems to be working the best. Ryan's still just fast enough to keep him behind.
They're running fairly good lap times too. It's not like they're off the pace by any means, or like Newman's not holding him up. I think they're just very closely matched here.
I bet when Ryan Newman drives to the airport later today, he's going to look in his mirror and think he sees that 9 car behind him. He's been back there for about 45 minutes.
I'll bring up one thing. I don't know, as I watch these cars, it looks like Kasey Kahne's car is really good through the corners. He is running the older Dodge engine that by what they say doesn't have quite as much horsepower, so that may be keeping him from getting off the corner and down the straightaway and making this pass.
I saw one of the restarts early in the race where the 9 car just got killed getting up to speed, which is usually a sign of how much power you've got. I always like to watch the restarts and see how your car compares to other cars when you don't really put handling into play. It's just like a drag race when you take off.
You were talking about up to speed. Why don't we take everybody up to speed, starting with Jimmie Johnson, our leader, and Dave Burns.
And Doc, as they approach the window to pit for the final time, drivers are starting to give their crew chiefs information that they can use. Interesting thing from Jimmie Johnson was that he radioed that his car was a little free into center, but only on the first few laps of the run. So depending on how long the final run is, that may change how much Chad would want to adjust Jimmie at the end of this race. We heard from Steve Letarte, the crew chief for Jeff Gordon. Not sure if they've got the best car out there today. Jimmie's is still pretty good, but he will need to adjust to a car that's a little free on entry and a little loose on exit, guys. Right now, we have caution, Doc.
Debris on the racetrack, and that will bring out caution flag again for the 7th time a day. And now, Andy, 76 laps to go. They are inside their window for this being their final stop if we were to go green.
Yeah, that gets them just inside a fuel window. If they do that, it'll be a long run to the end on tires, but they can make it on fuel. So you'll see all the leaders pit here.
So you got to get what you can get this time.
This is it, man. You got to get it all right here. This is going to be the money stop.
We'll see if Jeff Gordon and Steve Letarte have been saving anything up, any tricks up their sleeves on this last adjustment.
There's Steve Letarte. Yeah, he's ready, man. He said, yeah, bring him in here. Let's go.
The free pass, by the way, will be the 31 car. Jeff Burton, he will be able to get back on the lead lap. That'll give us 18 cars on the lead lap. Well, what might be the final stop of the day? The money stop here on lap 325 as they come around. We're under caution for the 7th time. Debris on the racetrack. Going to try to dial them in and see if Jeff Gordon, Montoya, Martin. I'll tell you one thing. I bet Kurt Busch is excited to see this caution flag. He can get on pit road and get some adjustments on that 2 car that was so good for quite a while.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon's pit crew last time almost beat Jimmie Johnson's crew out. Let's see what can happen this time.
35 miles an hour. Here they come. Let's go down to Jamie Little.
Well, Mark Martin says he's too loose at the start of the run, too tight at the end, but Alan Gustafson said no changes. We can't risk it with so few laps remaining. 4 tires and fuel for the 5 car. Shannon?
Well, the car for Juan Pablo Montoya, he's describing it as snappy. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment. 4 tires, 1 can of Sunoco fuel for the 42. Dave.
Jeff Gordon's crew going to work on his car now. There will be just an air pressure adjustment for Jeff. As for Jimmie Johnson, the leader, just a quarter turn down on the track bar. A little bit of a longer stop. 4 tires Sunoco fuel for Johnson, and he will lead them off pit road again, guys. The crew is really picked up for Jimmie.
Jimmie Johnson's crew getting it done. The big loser there was the 24 car of Jeff Gordon.
Man, that's what you don't want. This pit stop was the money stop. Lost a ton of positions right there coming off the pit road.
Yeah, he's going to come out 7th after going in 2nd. Make a big difference in how he has to drive this next segment.
Mark Martin sitting right there in 2nd spot. And Matt Kenseth, that crew right there is flat getting it done on pit road today.
Tony Stewart came out in 5th. Montoya's 4th.
People were talking about that 17 car being a factor after he was so good in final practice on Saturday. There is Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. The last 5 years in a row, at least one race here at Dover has been won by a Roush Fenway car. And they didn't win back in May, so their only option to keep that string alive is if somebody, if Kenseth would win this one here today.
Talk about the money stop. This is it right here. Let's see who was the fastest cruise off pit road. That 17 cars had some of the fastest pit stops. We're going to try to get together the times on the pit stop so we can see it.
While we have a break, why don't we visit with our in-race reporter, Tony Stewart, right now, who's being shown in the 5th position.
Tony, Dale Jarrett, you got me?
Yeah, man.
Well, it looks like you've taken this car and moved it back towards the front. Have you got enough to get up to Jimmie Johnson?
I don't know. I haven't seen too much of him today, but you know, we've been able to run with the 17 here, and the 42 didn't seem like he was getting away from us too bad. We ran pretty close to the 5 there, so I hope so. I mean, we're working at it. Proud of our guys here. Proud of Darian and all the guys in this Burger King car that done an awesome job today getting this thing fixed where we could drive this thing back toward the front.
Hey, Tony, is the rubber buildup on the racetrack creating problems?
I don't believe so. I mean, it's kind of similar to what we have at Bristol on the exits right on the bottom there. So it's not, you know where it's at, and you just try to straddle it, but it's not I wouldn't say it's a huge issue. It picks it up here on the cautions, and we get it laid back down right after we go back to green.
All right, Smoke, thanks for talking. Good luck.
So he didn't think like he had too much for that 48 car up front for Jimmie Johnson. But he thought he could hang with the 17 car. Well, he made some adjustments. We heard him talking about air pressure adjustments, so we'll see what they got. Less than 75 laps ago here to the checkered flag at Dover.
Yeah, it's really almost an unfair question I asked him because he's been battling his way back. He really doesn't know how good the 48 is, so he hadn't been able to judge from that, but thought we'd get his perspective on that. He may have a little bit more than he's telling us anyway.
Yeah, he can see Jimmie Johnson now.
Right now, he has actually gained a spot in the point standings. He's up a spot, the Kurt Busch up a spot, and so is Montoya. They are 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the chase points as of right now. The big loser right now in chase points would be that 11 car of Denny Hamlin, who's being shown 2 laps down in 22nd position. He would drop back to 7th in the standings. Side by side, double foul restart shootout style here at Dover, Delaware. Glad to have you with us. The 48 car is the leader. Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin in 2nd spot.
This restart could be big for Mark Martin. He hasn't been very good on these restarts. He's going to have to get himself in position to where he doesn't lose too many spots if he's going to have a chance.
Montoya gets a big run off the corner. And so does Kenseth.
And here comes the 2 car also trying to get by, Kurt Busch. So Martin goes from 2nd to 5th in less than a lap.
Inside line, it's just so hard to get your car hooked up and do what you need to do on the low air pressures. That was unfortunate for Mark. See if he can battle back.
Matt Kenseth just a little bit slow off turn 2 now, and Kurt Busch gets a run.
Kurt Busch trying to get back underneath Kenseth, 4th position. That's for 3rd spot. You see Mark Martin wanting to follow him by. There's Ryan Newman right behind Martin. Both Jimmie Johnson and Juan Pablo Montoya have pulled away by about 10 or 12 car lengths. This is a good battle back here. It's a 39 trying to inch in on the 5 car. And behind the 39 is his car owner and teammate Tony Stewart. Behind Stewart, you see the 33 car. We're starting to work over the rear of the 24. That is 4th position, Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, just another one that struggled on the restarts a little bit. When he was actually starting 2nd up there and he was able to clear the traffic and just get in with Jimmie, he was able to run his line. But as he gets back in traffic, it's made it a little bit more difficult for him. I think it'll come to him if he just doesn't lose any more spots here.
Riding along with Greg Biffle. He's looking at the rear deck of the 33 car of Boyer. Biffle being shown back in 10th spot, trying to hold off the charge of the 07 Casey Mears in 11th.
Comes Kevin Harvick battling with Carl Edwards. It's been a pretty decent day for Kevin Harvick. He's run right around that
14th, 15th spot pretty much all day.
Mark Martin now looking back on the inside of the 2 car. And he will go right down on the bottom groove and take that spot away. That is the 4th position.
Got to be frustrating when you have a car that you know is really good and you just can't get going on these restarts.
Yeah. The good news, they told Marky, you're in 2nd spot on the restart. The bad news, you're in 2nd, you'll be on the inside.
Now the 24 car also starting to pick it up a little bit. He had lost some positions. Let's update Jeff Gordon. Dave.
Yeah, Doc, we saw that he lost positions on that restart. We have to tell you why. When rear tire changer Tim Latiga came around to the left side of the car, and there you see him sitting right there, the slap knob on his air gun malfunctioned. That's the knob that changes it from being able to take the lug nuts off to putting the lug nuts on. You see him working it there, making sure it's good now, but that malfunctioned, and that cost him time.
Came in the pits in 2nd, came back out in 7th position, and now he's going to have to make it up on the racetrack. If we stay green, they will not have to come back to pit road again.
We talk a lot about winning a championship, and it comes down to a battle a lot of times. Even in a 10-race deal, it's the team that makes the fewest mistakes or has the fewest errors throughout the championship run. Mark Martin, we see now, is taking over that 3rd spot from Matt Kenseth.
Yep, 5 cars rolling now.
Get that 42.
Right, you got to get your driver up on the wheel right here. You got to be a cheerleader. Next spot's the 42. Let's go.
I always thought that was funny, though. You know that as a driver sitting in there. You see that's the next guy, so why do you think you have to tell him?
Get him going, man. Let's go.
Okay, all right. Just one.
Remember the final laps last week in New Hampshire, it was the 5 and the 42 that were battling on the restart. There is Montoya, and there's the guy that's trying to chase him down. Juan Pablo wasn't real happy with Mark Martin in those final laps. He felt like Mark sort of stopped in the corner, but I guess that's sort of a veteran move. You do what you're going to do to win that race.
That's exactly what he was doing. He did everything right for him and his team. And, you know, he might have put himself in a little bit of a compromising position with Montoya, but he didn't think Montoya would wreck him, and that's the way it worked out.
See the battle it's been for Tony Stewart all day as he was involved in that early incident.
Well, our Gillette in the clutch moment is going to go to the 14 crew, the crew of this 14 car. And the day didn't start how Tony Stewart wanted it to, because there was the tap on the 20 car that created the tumble by Joey Logano. Tony somehow got through this as they were coming across a racetrack, but he had a damaged race car. Came on the pit road, and the crew was able to make the repairs in the clutch.
Front stretch.
Got a big crash here on the front stretch.
Yeah, the 78 lost it. Regan Smith coming out of turn 4. Slid down and was hit, and then Elliott Sadler and
see a couple of cars that were involved in that first accident were involved in this one. They fixed their cars in the garage, came back out.
To find out how your favorite athletes prepare for success, go to ESPN.com, search Locker Room Report. So we are under caution now for the 8th time today. There is Martin Truex and the damaged car of Elliott Sadler.
I think he might have gotten into the back of Martin Truex, who was slowing down to avoid the 78 car spinning, and Elliott didn't get slowed down in time. 78 got loose coming out of turn 4 here. So he corrects it. He's going to get hit by David Stremme. As you can see, he's hit a few other things throughout the day with his car.
Now from Kyle Busch's onboard camera.
Right in front of you, trying with the top. You want the top. There we go.
Now let's see what Elliott Sadler saw.
Shallow.
Yeah, he kind of got forced down there. Car came on the outside of him, and Elliott couldn't turn to the couldn't stay up top.
It looked like John Andretti didn't see this happening in front of those cars, and he was full speed around them, kind of forced Elliott down.
Here's the 24 car of Jeff Gordon back on pit road. Remember, they had that air gun issue, and it lost him some spots. He comes back in here now with 57 laps to go.
I'd have to say that he's not very happy with either a change they made or that set of tires. Dave?
Well, Jeff Gordon will take some fresh rubber here. He wanted to do the opposite of what the top 6 did since he was no longer in it. So he'll get the fresh rubber, see if that extra 13 laps fresher can do him some good inside the top 10.
What's the old saying? No driver will ever turn down new tires or fresh tires.
And give up some track position to get them here, though.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Will he be able to make that up? Because these tires haven't shown a lot of fall off here. It's been a really good tire.
Well, if you enjoy what you've seen, we got more of it to come your way. We're only in race number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. We're headed to Kansas Speedway next week, Auto Club Speedway in California, Charlotte, Martinsville, all the way down to Homestead, Miami on November 22nd, all airing live on ABC. And I still believe that last race at Homestead, Miami, we're going to have a handful of drivers going for a championship and possibly the best chase we've had in the 6-year history. Let's go down to Alan Bestwick.
All right, Doc, in the pit studio with Rusty Wallace and Brad Daugherty. Been watching the first 343 miles of this race so far, and I know we've still got 57 to go, but the theme of the day when we came on the air, Rusty and Brad, was momentum and the monster. Let's talk about who the monster's broken the momentum of.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that really got in trouble with this momentum problem. I mean, you take a look at the bad run that Denny Hamlin's going. He's got himself a couple laps down. I mean, I haven't seen Carl Edwards getting any better yet. The 83 car, Brian Vickers, I'm looking at him. Nothing's happening there right now, but looks like the monster's jumped up into those guys, Brad, and kind of ate them up a little bit.
Really surprised at what's happened to Denny Hamlin today. I thought they really were focused in on running well here, simply because they have struggled in the past, and we've documented it so well. As well as Casey Kane, really having a tough day today, hasn't gotten himself out of that hole. I just don't think you can have a couple of bad races in this chase and win the championship. So they've really struggled. On the other hand, Jimmie Johnson, our 3-time heavyweight champ, is doing what he needs to do. Montoya continues to impress, and old Father Time, Mark Martin, is still up on that wheel getting after him, baby.
All right, while we are under caution and have a quiet moment on pit road, Dave is with the current leader's crew chief.
And that would be Chad Knaus. Chad, you've got Juan Pablo Montoya right behind you on equal rubber. Your teammate just came in and took on 4 fresh. He'll start maybe just outside the top 10. What's a bigger concern for you?
Right now, I mean, we just got to pay attention to what's going on right behind us. Obviously, the 24 is going to have fresher tires, but we were running pretty decent lap times right there on old tires, so I think we'll be okay. And if he does get up there, his stuff's going to be beat up pretty good. But, you know, I just can't say enough about this whole Lowe's team. We unloaded really fast, obviously qualified great, and Jimmy's doing a fantastic job today. He's really getting around this place well. And, you know, we've got Racing for Relief on the deck lid. You know, Lowe's has put that on there, and they're supporting all the people down in Atlanta that are suffering from those floods. So it's kind of the cool thing we got going on, and it'd be great to win for him today.
All right, for every lap Jimmy runs today, there's an extra $48 going in, and that's adding up so far today, Jamie.
Alan Gustafson, crew chief. For Mark Martin, you guys opted not to make any changes that last stop. Now that you've had a few laps, what do you think is going to happen on the restart?
That's been our Achilles heel. You know, if we can get a good restart out of this Skells CarQuest Chevy, I think we could run with them. But we've struggled restarting, so it's going to be tough. 48's awful good. The 42's good, and we just got to get a good restart and get going. Real proud of these guys. Pit stops have been great. See what Mark can do. He's pretty good.
Restarts at the end of last race. Won him the race last week, Shannon.
Pat Tryson calling the shots for Kurt Busch. I know that this track has been a handle to keep up on as the rubber gets laid down. You made an air pressure and track bar in the last pit stop. Do you think it'll be enough to get up there and take this lead?
We hope so. We're a little bit better than we were the run before, but you know, that 48's been pretty strong all day. So, you know, hopefully we can get up there and challenge for it, but see what happens. We get another caution, see if we can't get this Miller Lite Dodge back in victory lane.
All right, thank you guys. Vince?
With Darian Grubb, the crew chief for Tony Stewart. Darian, you considered coming in there. What kept you making the decision to stay out?
Basically, we got a really good long run car. Tony's done a great job driving from 33rd all the way back up the front. So the car was just really starting to come in, so hopefully we can start passing cars around this restart.
Got something for him here in this last stretch?
We hope so. We're looking for a good solid top 5 finish, but I think we really got a shot to get up there. 48's really fast, but if we can catch up to him, it'll be a good choke.
14 been moving up all day, guys. Alan?
And after a tough start to this race involved in an early accident, some positive momentum at the Monster for Tony Stewart. He's in the top 6, and he's got a restart coming up with 53 to go. Reminder that ESPN's Monday Night Football continues in the new Cowboy Stadium in Dallas, actually in Arlington, as the Carolina Panthers, led by Steve Smith, take on Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys. It's ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern Time. So this time, as Jimmie Johnson takes the outside lane for the restart, it'll be Juan Pablo Montoya down to his inside. And Mark Martin going to be still trapped in that inside lane as Matt Kenseth is to his outside. Doc, DJ, and Andy, how do you see it shaping up?
Well, keep an eye back in row 6 on the outside with the fresh tires. That 24 car, that's where Jeff Gordon will restart. Remember, double file restarts with all the lead lap cars up front. And we'll see what can happen. And remember, last week at New Hampshire, it was Montoya and Martin who were the two principals in those final laps. Can Jimmie Johnson hold them off, guys?
Pretty strong car so far. It's going to be hard for anybody to beat him. It's a good start here. You see Matt Kenseth give him a shove.
Heard Darian Grubb say that the 14 car was good in longer runs. Here's Tony Stewart on the outside.
Yeah, Tony on the outside. Matt Kenseth shot up to second from that fourth spot on the restart.
Big advantage to be able to start in that outside lane today.
Yeah, it really is. See Mark Martin back there still struggling on these. It takes him about 4 or 5 laps before his car really comes in pretty good.
Martin trying to hold off the challenge of the 2 car. And there's the 24 car sort of mired in heavy traffic back behind the 39 and the 07.
Marcus Ambrose, they just went 3 wide into that corner. Marcus Ambrose down on the bottom is able to make a pass. Carl Edwards and Brian Vickers.
That would be for 14th position. Now Jeff Gordon going to the inside of Ryan Newman.
And we see these new tires, they'll be an advantage for a little while, but it's going to get a little bit tougher as he gets up here a little closer to the front. But it could be the right call for this team. They needed to do something because they weren't going anywhere where they were.
No contact right there with Ryan Newman.
Back out and lose a couple of spots. Allmendinger goes by. Now he'll jump back in the throttle and try to go back on the inside of the 44.
Hope he doesn't have a tire rub right there.
Yeah, Jeff had a good run. He just had to squeeze out of the throttle because the 07 was right there. And Ryan Newman and he got together then as they came down the front straightaway.
Less than 50 laps to go here at Dover. Let's show you what happened a moment ago. Now watch the 24. Yeah, there's the contact.
See the back end kick out a little bit on Ryan Newman's car, and as he corrected it, just Jeff Gordon happened to be there. Gordon battling A.J. Allmendinger, who's had a really solid day all day long. Good run for him.
That's 10th and 11th position. Kevin Harvick now trying to move in on the back of Jeff Gordon for a spot.
I'd have to say that contact was enough, Andy, to do some probably aero damage to Jeff Gordon's car.
Oh, yeah, and I'd be afraid, too, that it may have even damaged that right front tire and fender enough that could cause him a problem. Look at A.J. Allmendinger now, putting some pressure on Newman. Ryan Newman's had people chewing on his rear bumper almost all day long. Saw Casey Kane work on him for 50 laps or more.
Casey was pretty patient with him. We'll see if AJ will be.
Here's the 9 and the 99. Speaking of Casey Kane and Carl Edwards, they just had a little contact. They're battling for 16th position.
That was Carl trying to get on the inside. He got a little bit loose.
Not quite clear. There goes Tony Stewart, Mark Martin going at it.
Mark Martin able to take that position away. Now Mark back up to 4th spot.
Mark just doesn't want to see any more cautions. That'd be his only chance to get up there, and then probably about 2nd as far as he's going to get, but he could possibly make that happen.
A.J. Allmendinger right on the inside. Now he bobbles a little bit, and Jeff Gordon will get the high side and try to go by.
I'm going to tell you, Ryan Newman's going to be lucky if he doesn't get wrecked before this race is over. He's had somebody, like I said, chewing on that left rear all day.
It's just so hard to make that pass on the inside, and Ryan's able to run fast enough up out of the corner that it makes it difficult on these guys.
Now Greg Biffle's moving in saying, I want to play a little bit. He's going to try to move underneath the 44 car. We are inside of the checkered flag here, and these guys trying to get every position they can. Remember, Biffle is one of the chase drivers. He has already gained a spot in the points today, moving up from 9th to 8th.
Brian Vickers there, running well after getting the lucky dog.
Getting back on the lead lap. Vickers now being shown up in 14th position.
Saw that 9 car come into the corner smoking. Smoking on the outside of that 47 now.
Still they are deadlocked at the top right now. Johnson and Martin. Montoya 50 points back. You see Kurt Busch would have gained a spot. So would Stewart and Ryan Newman. The big loser right now today would be Denny Hamlin. He would move back 4 positions. Hamlin being shown 22nd on the racetrack, 2 laps down.
Yeah, I think this thing, as we see Jeff Gordon finally taking that spot away from Ryan Newman. But I believe if this thing goes green to the end, Mark Martin will get his car up to second. And even if Jimmie Johnson wins this, he'll still hold the points lead at the end of the day. Newman's car, although he's been pretty decent all day long, and he's sitting up there and they're still in the top 10 in that 10th spot. It just seems that it's fallen off as the runs go longer throughout the day, and that's where he's really struggled. If these new tires are able to help Gordon make up some more ground.
Jeff Gordon, who snapped that 47-race winless streak at Texas this year, has only the one win this year, but he has 6 second-place finishes. So it's been a pretty good year for Jeff Gordon in terms of being consistently in the top 5. The 39 now starting to drop back a little bit as Gordon pulls away. Let's update Ryan Newman. Jamie.
Well, Doc, you know he's an engineer, so he came over the radio and said, I don't know if it's like the combination of the right rear shock or the track bar together. He said, but I just cannot get in the corner, and you know he's been running top 5, and right now he's just slipping back. It's the worst he's been all day.
Sort of Murphy's Law, we need the car to be its best. It ends up being at its worst.
Yeah, it's really frustrating as a driver. You get down, you make that last pit stop, you think you've made all the adjustments to get your car right, and then it just doesn't behave like you want to. You have to really be careful not to overdrive at that point in time, and Ryan is doing a good job of that.
Jimmie Johnson is our leader, and by the way, he has gotten the bonus points for leading the most laps. He has now led 3 times for 233 laps. The 3 previous times Johnson led the most laps here, he won the race. And there is one of the stories of the day. Matt Kenseth, a team that has struggled for the past 3 or 4 months, possibly having only his second top 5 finish since February.
Man, that's hard to believe. This team has struggled that much after winning the first 2 races of the season. He's having a great run here today, and even though Jimmie Johnson is kind of killing everybody, he is sitting right there in second spot.
He saw Montoya's car get a little sideways coming off the corner. I think he sees that dive car coming in a hurry in his mirror.
Yeah, he knows you better get after it a little bit. Less than 40 to go here. Sees that yellow hood of Mark Martin's car coming more prevalent in his mirror right now.
Right now, Juan Pablo Montoya, if he were to finish where he is, would gain a position in the point standings up to 3rd.
He actually had the fastest lap last time by. Montoya did.
It looks like that lap where we showed the back end kick out that he had found a little bit of something, because since that time he's picked up every single lap on Matt Kenseth and really closed that gap.
Jeff Gordon now trying to take the 8th spot away from Casey Mears. So in hindsight right now, was it a good move for Gordon to come on pit road and get those fresh tires?
Well, it's too early to tell. We'll see how it shakes out. I mean, that contact that he had with Newman, I think, set him back a little bit. He's going to get this spot away from Casey Mears. But there's 33 laps to go, and you know, if we have another caution and they bunch up and some of the leaders don't pit and he has a little fresher tires, it could really pay off. So I'll have to get back to you on that one, Doc.
All right.
I think he was running 7th when he came into the pits, and he's back to 8th.
Uh-oh, they got a caution. Sam Hornish in the wall.
Just what you were talking about, Andy.
Get it going, Sam. Leaders exit 2. You can get it spun around there. Exit 2.
What are these leaders going to do now?
This is a very difficult decision right here for all these leaders, whether they get tires. They can obviously make it on fuel.
What would you do?
Well, if I'm Jimmie Johnson, I believe I will stay out. He's got a good car, and I think if he stays out, this is my thinking, if he stays out, it'll keep a lot of cars on the racetrack with him.
The 88 car got the free pass and will be able to get one of his 2
out
laps.
here. What about you?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Oh, yep. I'm sorry. We're going to watch the replay here on the 77. Looks like he may have just spun this car by himself. He's trying to get a run on this 00 of Ruderman. Yep.
Yeah, he may have got the left front down on the apron there. That will really loosen your car up right at that point in time. You want to keep it down there as much as you can, but it's kind of unloads the car. Let's see if we can see right here. it's hard to tell, but that seen that happen quite a few times.
Now, if Jimmie Johnson does decide to pit right here, it'll be an opportunity for somebody in that group to stay out, or even more than a few to stay out and make it very difficult on Jimmie. Maybe try to steal this win. It's a very difficult decision now for Chad Knaus. These are the ones that make your gut wrench a little bit.
They are down low. They're going to come on the pit road. And let's see if anybody takes them.
Okay, here comes Stewart.
Tony Stewart comes in. And so does Ryan Newman and some of the cars back there. Allmendinger and Casey King. Vince.
Well, they debated about it last yellow, and they decided to stay out. This time, Tony Stewart and Darian Grubb said it almost simultaneously. Yeah, let's come and get 4 tires. Let's see if it makes the difference as Tony Stewart tries to win this race here today at Dover. Jamie.
Ryan Newman said, I don't know how the heck this thing got so tight. So watch for them. They already made an air pressure adjustment, right sides only, Dave.
And Greg Biffle coming down pit road as well. Fresh rubber and a wedge adjustment for Greg Biffle. His car's been tight all day. He'll get 4 and try to recover from what has been a dismal day for him after running in the top 5 early.
So 11 of the cars on the lead lap came on pit road, and there's the 47 that came in, Marcus Ambrose.
Had a big miscue. He started to drive off. Don't know if they didn't have all the wheels tight, but had to back up, back into his pit stall.
I think maybe he thought it's a 2-tire stop, and we saw a few of those. Tony Stewart really forced those guys' hands, which I like that call, but he's got a couple of cars, the 9 car, and a couple of others that just got 2 tires, so he lost a couple of spots there. But
it's like I said about Jimmie in the 48, if he stays out, it's going to keep a lot of cars on the racetrack with him. And you saw, 4 or 5 cars right behind Jimmie stay out. When you make that decision, as Chad would make that, he's hoping that, I hope I'm not the only one left on the track and everybody comes behind me.
Hey, guess what? Mark Martin's going to get started on the outside this time.
Finally,
he's at least happy about that, but I'm pretty sure he didn't even want to see a restart at all.
We talked about the miscue on the pits a moment ago with the 47 car, Marcus Ambrose. That cost him some time in the pits. Let's show you from the onboard camera.
The track 5.
Oh, yeah, they were doing 4, and he thought it was 2.
Mark 4, 2. Like he called, 4 tires now.
Well, somebody didn't get the memo.
Just a little miscommunication there.
Well, the 17 car, Matt Kenseth in second spot. Let's go down and talk with his crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer. Jamie.
Well, what a day it would be for the 17 team if it pans out here. Drew, final restart perhaps. What do you expect to happen? Does he have anything for the 48 now that you guys have made it this far?
I don't think anybody has anything for the 48, but the DeWalt Ford's been pretty good. The top's been real good on restarts for us, so hopefully he can get a good run on the bottom and get him behind the 48 and at least give him a run for his money.
Just to see him running up front would be great for the 17, Dave.
No miscue on the 33, but there was debate. Shane, are you confident in your call to stay out?
Well, yeah, I mean, you never know who's going to come in behind you, so we just had to make a decision. We stayed out, and we'll see how it goes.
After starting last today, are you happy to kind of keep what you have, maybe?
Yeah, no, Clint and the guys with the BB&T Chevrolet have been doing real good today, and, we'll just hope
have a great run going, guys.
The chase for the Sprint Cup continues next week at Kansas Speedway. Jimmie Johnson won Kansas last season and took the championship lead from Carl Edwards. Jeff Gordon is the only driver to win more than once at Kansas. He won there in 2001 and 2002. Our live coverage coming your way next Sunday on ABC at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Jimmie Johnson may actually go to Kansas as the points leader. Right now they are dead even. With he in the 5 car, he and Mark Martin tied atop the standings.
Kansas has been really good on these restarts, but it's been because he's in that outside line. So, as his crew chief said, let's see what he can do on this inside, if he can give Jimmie a run.
Now we're getting close enough to the end of the race that this is going to be a pretty exciting restart. Intensity level is going to be high.
Yeah, not giving any spots right now, are we? No, Mr. Nice Guy here.
I'll take right now.
And Juan Pablo Montoya, who'd been sideways on the previous restart. Let's see, watch him jump back in the throttle. We'll see if the 5 car can hang there. Mark Martin so far trying to hang on, and he will hang on to that spot.
See if he's able to hold that, though, because he just hasn't been very good for about 3 or 4 laps. Montoya moved right in on his bumper.
Behind them, they are stacking up single file there. 33 car Bowyer, Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon is there. Now a move on the inside. Allmendinger trying to go underneath, and Tony Stewart in the middle of this mess.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe that getting these fresh tires would be a good move, but the tires here just don't fall off that much. They come back and run real fast
Carl
speed.
Edwards going up on the outside. He went sailing into the corner, went by 2 other cars.
Time to go. Like I said, that intensity level coming up.
Yeah, see Ryan Newman up there. He only took 2 tires. See if that fixed some of his problems. He battles Casey Mears.
They try to go underneath or around the 33 car of Clint Bowyer for position. That's a 7th, 8th, and 9th spot. Montoya trying to hold off Kurt Busch for 4th position.
Yeah, looks like Montoya is another one that his car waits a while before it comes in, so he didn't want to see that last caution that we had as Kurt Busch tries to make that inside work.
Look at Casey Kane working this outside.
Got a couple of Caseys on the outside, Mears and Kane, and Ryan Newman on the inside.
Look at this. Look at this move. He's trying 3 wide on the outside. Casey Kane is on Casey Mears.
Right side of your screen, Kurt Busch trying to move on the inside of Montoya for 4th, and right behind him with fresher tires is the 24 car of Jeff Gordon.
Man, we got racing all over the track. Here comes Stewart now on the inside of Allmendinger.
Yeah, diving down there.
Well, he nearly got in the back of that 44 car as he dove down across the racetrack.
See Allmendinger make the pass on Casey Mears on the high side, though. Been a really good day for him. He's wanting to make it better.
Look at Carl Edwards on the left side of your screen now. He's going to try to look underneath Tony Stewart, and Tony holds that bottom line.
See, I think Kurt Busch has a faster car there on the right. He just cannot get by Montoya. Montoya knows that he's going to have a hard time passing him. That's why he's not giving up that outside part of the racetrack.
It is Jimmie Johnson the leader, Kenseth in 2nd, Martin 3rd, and here is a good battle now shaping up back here. We're showing you Montoya, Kurt Busch, and Jeff Gordon 4th, 5th, and 6th. And here comes that 5 car now beginning to inch in on the 17 car of Kenseth for 2nd position.
Yeah, Dale, you predicted this 5 was going to finish 2nd. He's coming.
Well, you know, we saw Matt Kenseth pull over a little bit ago and kind of give Mark that spot. I don't know that he's going to pull over at this point in time of the race. We only have 19 laps to go. Mark's going to have to work a little harder for this.
If they were to finish where they're running right now, Mark Martin would be the points leader leaving here. Well, here's the 9 car. Casey Kane looking to the high side trying to go by Newman.
Telling you, Casey Kane's found something on the outside. See, his rotors are glowing red. He's driving this car as hard as he can go right now.
Well, there's no reason to leave anything out there at this point in time. He has to get as many points as he possibly can, and A.J. Allmendinger, his teammate, following him.
A couple of Richard Petty Motorsports cars both going by the 39.
Here comes Stewart.
Oh, see Tony get a little bit loose. He tried to drive it way off in the corner. Just wouldn't stick.
Tony Stewart trying to go downstairs on the 39 car. That's for 9th spot. And here's a battle for 2nd position. It'll be 16 laps to go this time by.
Well, Mark really got in the gas hard and slides right up in front of Matt Kenseth.
That was a close one right there.
Nice to have good friends sometimes when you're racing hard.
Now Martin just pulling away from Kenseth. The question is, does he have enough time and enough car to run down that 48 car?
Well, he's hoping he has enough car, but he doesn't want to see another caution because that's going to put him on the inside of Jimmie Johnson and probably lose spots. So he'll just take his chances on trying to run him down.
As we look just behind this, Montoya is able to pull away from that battle he had with the 2 car of Kurt Busch.
Couple of Stewart-Haas teammates trying to battle for a top 10 finish. Stewart had the advantage that time by on the scoring. He's in 9th spot. And now Newman will get it back. Or will he?
Probably get him clear right here. And not quite. Oh, I don't think Ryan Newman's racing another driver right now. Not so much the boss. He just sees Tony as another competitor.
And Tony Stewart will get up in front of him and take that spot away. 9th position. Couple more teammates here. Richard Childress Racing teammates. Casey Mears and Jeff Burton.
I tell you, some of these guys that we saw that were running up there, Clint Boyer's falling back, Casey Mears is falling back. Some of these guys that didn't take tires are seeing the effects of these other guys that did take the opportunity to come to pit road and make that change.
I know we only got 13 laps to go, but the last lap, Mark Martin was a full 1/10 of a second faster than Jimmy.
That's not going to add up when he's 2.3 behind. So
that's why I qualified it when I said it.
Double zero in there, David Rudeman. He's being shown 2 laps down in 21st position. The position on the racetrack on the lead lap is a 31.07. Now let's check the speeds at the line as they come by. Here's our leader, Jimmy Johnson. Let's see what he's running and also what Mark Martin is running when he comes by.
See Jimmy a little faster that time by. Montoya, the second fastest. Actually Stewart that lap.
It'll be 10 laps to go next time by for Jimmy Johnson.
Of our top 11, only 2 guys that aren't in the chase are up there, and that's Matt Kenseth and A.J. Allmendinger.
Coming up next, except on the West Coast, stay tuned for ABC's World News or your local news over most of these ABC stations. Final laps coming your way here. Race number 2 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Dover International Speedway. The 3-time and defending champion Jimmy Johnson trying to hold on and win here over Mark Martin, Kenseth, and Montoya. Good battle on the racetrack. Casey Kane trying to get by the 44 car and hang on to that 7th spot. Couple of teammates. Kane needs the points, but Allmendinger right now just wants to be able to get the best finish.
That's every man for himself at this point.
Now Mark has trimmed the lead a little bit on the 48 car, but Jimmy Johnson still has that interval right there with just now 7 laps to go.
Not really enough time for Mark to run him down.
Mark Martin's going to be extremely happy. He's had to battle for this 2nd place finish today, just as he had to battle for that win last week. Nothing's going to come easy in this chase, especially when you have to battle that 48 car of Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus.
Jimmy Johnson has 14 chase victories. No one has as many as he has in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. He has won 7 times in the last 16 chase races. We mentioned 3 consecutive titles, tying the great Cale Yarborough as the only other driver to win 3 in a row. No one has ever won 4 NASCAR Sprint Cup championships in a row. Jimmy Johnson could become the first driver to do that and make NASCAR history.
5-4, bud. 5-4. 63 on him. 60 on you.
That's Mark Martin's crew chief. He's just trying to rally his driver there.
He knocked another 10th off that time by, but he's got still got about 2 seconds to go and less than 5 laps.
It's like Dale said, that math doesn't add up, unfortunately, but what a great run Mark's had today.
Yeah, and he's just really...
60 on him, 60 on you.
Much as he'd love to win this race, he's really happy. He's just praying that they don't have a caution right now because he knows that's when he's the most vulnerable, and his car is just not the best on those restarts. He'll take 2nd in the points lead and go on to Kansas.
Right now, he would have a 10-point lead over Jimmy Johnson if Jimmy wins the race and he finishes 2nd.
Just have to shake your head sometimes. You see how well this 48 runs when it comes chase time. Just unbelievable how good they are. He's totally dominated this race today.
preparation, talent, chemistry, all coming together when you have to stand up and be counted here in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. White flag next time by for Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson is a 4-time winner at Dover International Speedway. And he is a lap away from collecting his 5th win on the Monster Mile.
One more time around.
He came here as a rookie driver in 2002. Not only did he win both races that year, he led the most laps in both races, serving notice that this young man was going to be a factor in NASCAR Sprint Cup racing. And here today, he has led 3 times for 271 laps, and Jimmie Johnson wins it at Dover.
That's right, boys. Maximum points. Thank you.
Oh, nice work, Johnson. Nice work.
So Johnson takes the win. Martin in second. Kenseth finishing third. Montoya fourth. Kurt Busch fifth. And you saw that it was Jeff Gordon sixth. Allmendinger did finish in front of Casey Kane, who finished 8th. Tony Stewart 9th. And Ryan Newman in the top 10. By the way, Carl Edwards finished 11th. Let's go down to Shannon.
Well, when the weather cools down, it's the 48 team that gets hot. Chad, how bad did you guys need this win, your first of this chase, for momentum into the next 8 races?
Well, you know, our team's pretty easily motivated, and we came in here obviously after winning in the spring, and we wanted to do really well. We brought a different race car, a car that we thought was going to be better than what we had in the spring, and man, I'm glad it worked out because I'd look pretty dumb if it hadn't. But you know, it's a really neat thing that we've got going on at Hendrick Motorsports. Mark finishing second. Congrats to those guys and Alan Gustafson. They're great competitors, a lot of fun to race against, and you know, Lowe's has got Racing for Relief on the back of the car for everybody that's struggling down in Atlanta, and that's a pretty neat deal as well. So we got a lot of neat things happening at Hendrick Motorsports right now. It's just a pleasure to be a part of it.
Jimmie Johnson, your 3-time champion, sweeps at Dover. Doc?
Jimmie Johnson, what an effort today. What an effort by the entire crew there for Hendrick Motorsports. Chad Knaus and company. They win both races, becoming the 10th different driver to win both races here at Dover in the same year. Don't forget to watch the 2-hour season premiere of Extreme Makeover Home Edition tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And now, except on the West Coast, stay tuned for ABC's World News or your local news over most of these ABC stations. Well, let's go down to Vince Welch.
With Matt Kenseth after a very good run today. Matt finished third. Just had a good conversation there with Mark Martin. What was that entailing?
Well, I mean, he had a really good car. Our car ended up being pretty good, but really these DeWalt guys did it in the pits today. It was this tire was really nice for when you ran by yourself, but it made it really hard to pass for some reason. And like Mark would be 2-3 tenths faster than me, and if you didn't give a little bit, it was really hard for people to pass today. Very difficult to pass. So we were just talking about the racing and them restarts. You know, you know, for someone like him who's really good on a long run, but loose on a short run, it's really aggravating when somebody's outside you all the time and passing you. So we're just talking about the racing.
Good top 5 today. First top 5 in, I think, 15 races. What kind of shot in the arm is this for your team?
Feels like 15 years. You know, I mean, it's good to get a little momentum, but we still got to keep working really hard. I mean, this is the last 4 or 5 years been our best track on the circuit, really. So if we didn't run good here, I'd be even more worried. But it was a step in the right direction. We were really consistent on pit road today. We were able to adjust our car and actually make it better during the race, which is something we haven't been able to do. So there's a good run for us. We really needed that.
Third today for Matt Kenseth. Good, strong run. Jamie?
Mark Martin pretty happy with the 2nd place finish. The restarts weren't your guys' strong suits, but how did you overcome it there in the longer runs?
Well, we had, you know, a good handling car on the long run, but it just, it was a handful on the restarts, and Alan and Kellogg's Kart Quest team just did a great job. I think we did really well by finishing 2nd. We were just off a little bit, and it really showed itself on the restarts, but we were off just a little bit even on the long run, even though, you know, we would get where we could beat almost, you know, most of the crowd. We just didn't hit it perfect, but as competitive as it is, I'm very proud and how well we hit it, and what a great race that Alan and the team gave me.
All right, Mark, you remain the points leader by 10 over Jimmie Johnson. Shannon?
4th place finish for Juan Pablo Montoya today. Can you describe your race out there?
You know, everybody, you know, this Polaroid Chevy did a really good job. We just got too tight there at the end. And, you know, whoever would restart third or second always would, you know, it was, you know, being in the outside was the way to go. And, you know, we were fourth with 2 restarts to go, jumped to second. And we restarted second and dropped to fourth. And just the car would take a couple laps to get, you know, to get going. And on scuffed tires, it was a lot harder. So I lost too much ground and we were just too tired at the end. But, you know, another top 5, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it was a great run for Juan Pablo Montoya, who is 3rd in the points now, Vince.
Standing here with Kurt Busch and Pat Tryson, the crew chief, as they're discussing the race today. And if there was something that you could have gotten better today, what would it have been? It was a pretty solid run, all sold.
Yeah, we'll take it. The Miller Lite Dodge was solid. We led some laps, and I felt like we had a nice rhythm to today. And maybe where we could adjust and be better is during the race, as the track rubbered in. We couldn't turn as good on corner exit, and that'll hurt you a little bit down the straightaway too. So all in all, though, a good run for our Dodge, and everybody that's running with us. You know, we had to borrow the 12 guys right front tire changer today because our guy got hurt. So, you know, we're just piecing stuff together. Pat's on his way out. I'm with this program forever. Love these guys, and nice solid run for us today.
7th to 4th in the last 2 races in regards to the chase points, guys. So Doc certainly moving in the right direction for the 2.
Indeed they are, as there you see Jimmie Johnson has now pulled that 48 Chevy into victory lane, gives his wife Shanny a kiss. And he climbs out. Let's go down to Dave Burns.
Bobby Allison and Richard Petty have won here 7 times. David Pearson and now Jimmie Johnson have won here 5 times. Jimmy, what's it like to take it to them here?
I don't know. Those tall boys, they gave my crew guys some pretty cool. What a car, obviously. Yesterday we were struggling a little bit in practice, and we made some great changes last night. We get the slows and ball and working right, and just an awesome race car, awesome day. I want to thank all those employee owners for all of their support. Everybody in there's a store earlier I was supposed to remember the number up for it, and I forgot it by now, but there's also the Racing for Relief program that's on the deck lid of the car, and I want to point out that Lowe's is going to donate more money now that we won. So just a lot of great things. The fans were great, cheering me in when my engine was broken, trying to get back here to victory lane, and just so happy to go out and get maximum points today. It's what we needed to do.
A dominating day. He's still 2nd in points, racing his teammate Mark Martin for that championship, but Alan, a great day for the 48 bunch.
Jimmie Johnson's bid for a 4th consecutive championship gets a big shot of momentum by his mastering the Monster Mile today. And now Johnson and the other 11 contenders in the chase for the Sprint Cup take it on to Kansas next weekend. Top drivers are proving their place in the chase as they conquer the Monster Mile.
Next week in the chase.
Can they carry the momentum into America's heartland?
The chase continues.